evening, everybody. It is 6:30 on the dot, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So at this time, we're going to conduct the annual budget hearing. The purpose of the budget hearing is to take public input regarding the budget committee approved budget for the 25-26 school year. The budget will be presented to the school board for board adoption this evening during the regular meeting. So we're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order, and we're going to go ahead and do the flag salute. No. Yes, I thought we were gonna have them introduced. Oh, yeah.
Sure, I can introduce them. So from Steens Pillar Elementary, we have Weston Mooney and his little sisters Rowan and Rin, and then Brogan McCullough are gonna lead us in the pledge today.
Ready, begin.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both. Okay. They're like, change that. Awesome. Okay, we're now opening the budget hearing to allow public an opportunity to provide input on the 25-26 budget being presented to the school board. So I'll open that up now for public input. Okay. Well, we're adjourned of the budget hearing. Thank you all. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and call the board meeting to order, and it looks like we have all 5 board members here. Miss Tammy. Okay. 2.0 agenda additions, deletions, or revisions and agenda approval.
Just one request for an amendment to the agenda. Can we have, in maybe under the superintendent's report, the superintendent explain this wonderful new wall that none of us have seen before?
I look forward to it.
Okay. With that, I move to approve the agenda.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the agenda and a second. Do we have any discussion? All right, well, let's go ahead and do roll call voting. Kelsey? Scott?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And myself, yes, as well. Thank you. And now I will turn this over to Dr. Hawk for 3.0 recognition.
Yes, for our first recognition, I'm going to invite Susie Christensen, Dylan Smith, Andreas Rosales, and Harrison James to come and stand right up here. Yeah. And there is a couple seats up front. Come on, Dylan. So, before you clap, the reason we're recognizing this particular student is years ago in this room, we dreamed that students at Crook County High School, through taking dual credit classes, could someday get their associate's degree while they're in high school. Dylan here represents our very first student to take the sequence of courses to earn her associates coinciding with her diploma. So let's give her a big round of applause. Susie Christensen is the head of COCC here in Prineville. If you want to say just a couple words about Dylan and the program.
So at CFCC, we of course value all of our students, but we particularly have a fondness in our hearts for our Crook County students that come to high school here. And we've had this dream that we can graduate students, if they would like, with an associate's degree at the same time that they're completing their high school requirements. It's not easy. It's really hard, actually, and it's a lot of work. You have to be diligent, you have to be persistent, you have to be really smart. And we have 3 students who did that, and we are very proud of them.
Now I'm told from the get-go, we have spelled Dylan's name wrong. So we gotta get that fixed. But Dylan, here's a plaque for the time being. Thank you. Rich, we get good. Thank you. Hey, one more round of applause.
Can you name the other two?
Yes, Harrison James and Andreas Rosales.
Very nice.
And while we're on that, so I'm gonna jump ahead, your request to talk about the pillars of distinction. So what we're gonna do each month, we try to recognize a community member, a student group, and a staff. And what we'll do so that we don't forget how awesome these people are as the year goes on, is we'll add their plaques to the month, each month, and keep a kind of rolling list of all the amazing things going on in the district. So we thought a lot about the name Pillars of Distinction, sounded right to us, so we'll get that going and start a new tradition.
Very nice. Thank you.
And Dylan is our first person to make it on the Pillars of Distinction. So next up, our community group. Let's welcome up here the Crook County High School Athletic Boosters. So if you're here, come on up, let's round. So here tonight, we have Jason Kamara, who is the chair of the Athletic Boosters. We've got Mandy McDonald and then Shauna Holland. Shauna is a board member and Mandy is the treasurer. One of the things that I was so impressed with about, say, a month ago, both Anna, Leland, and I joined the Athletic Boosters monthly meeting. And to have a group of parents working proactively, asking coaches what they need, how can we fundraise, what projects can we work on to support you to expand athletics in our district, it was just so cool to see people volunteering their time. So our athletics, our athletes would not have the experience they do if it weren't for this group of people doing things behind the scenes. So I just wanted to publicly recognize them and give them a big round of applause. And take a picture. You have to take a picture. Sure.
1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Just to the boosters, I would just like to say, we so appreciate what you've done for athletes and for coaches. You do amazing things and make things happen, but I wouldn't want you to go unacknowledged for what you also do for allowing the community to participate. The things you do, like funding the booster buses and the band trips and all those little extras that bring not just our athletes and coaches along, but everybody else, makes the whole community be able to be invested in our athletics and in our community. And you guys help make that possible. And I know there are other communities that don't have that kind of resource. So thank you so much on behalf of all the segments that benefit from the great work you do.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Board, I seriously tried to cut down recognitions, but we just
Why?
we had too many good things going on as I actually. So I'm gonna have Rebecca Lambert as well as Steve from the Crook County Foundation come forward. Let's give them a round of applause. So last week, over $740,000 of scholarships were given to Crook County School District current and former students. Just an amazing number representing the generosity of our community. Rebecca and the Crook County Foundation have played a huge role in this over the years, and Rebecca happens to be finally telling us that it's time for the next chapter. So she will be moving on. She has coordinated, and we're kind of rounding a little bit here, but about $500,000 of scholarships over the last few years. So she has been instrumental in rewarding those students that are working really hard in our district. So we wanted to just bring her here, recognize her efforts, and give her a big round of applause. And Steve is the president of the Crook County Foundation, and our former board member, Gwen Carr, will be stepping in to take Rebecca's place. So we know we're in good hands, so.
Okay. I can be in the middle of you two. Wait.
All right.
1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. It's good enough.
Joel, one other thing you may not be aware of with Rebecca is she is also the Crook County representative to the Central Oregon Community College Budget Committee. So she helped make the associate's degree we talked about previous possible. So thank you for
Keep on,
that too.
keep on good. Okay, moving on. This is Mr. Steve Holliday's last board meeting, so we wanted to just recognize him. Steve was appointed in 2023. Tim and I were laughing because I was like, I think Steve's been on the board about 5 years or so. Me too. But in all seriousness, Steve stepped in a very difficult time for the Kirk County School District, and his steadfastness, his steady hand on the wheel. Steve is just such a practical, common sense, kind individual. I was trying to think of my favorite Steve Holiday story. This is what I got. Steve is a cowboy. But he's a special kind of cowboy. We were meeting in my office, and he comes in like he does, and you can see his hat back there. He takes his hat off, he sets it down, and we're talking, and he just, I think, been moving Piper or something, and we're talking. He goes, Joel, it's actually kind of like Aristotle said, and then goes along and perfectly quotes this ancient Greek philosophy, and then says, all right, well, see you later, gets his hat on and goes. So, and that just encompasses Steve, just a smart, intelligent, special human being that we've been so lucky to have as a board member. So we have a little, Steve loves coffee, if you don't know, so we have a little gift bag. And just a huge sincere thank you to Steve Holiday for helping the district out.
Sure.
Oh, we gotta get a picture. In that shirt, we're getting a picture.
Absolutely.
So.
I'll pop it right with you.
You didn't mention he's also the parent of a 2025 graduate. This course.
Here, standing right there.
1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thanks, Steve. This is my final recognition of the night. So, this is the Lon Austin Legacy and Athletic Awards. It's a new award that was presented annually to an outstanding coach who has demonstrated exceptional leadership, dedication, and the impact on the lives of student athletes in Kirk County. Named in honor of Lon Austin, who passed away suddenly this year. He was a beloved coach, athletic news reporter, and passionate supporter of Kirk County athletics. This award recognizes those who go above and beyond in fostering both athletic skill and personal growth in their athletes. Lon's widow, Carlene Austin, is also in attendance tonight. Let's give her a hand. Through tireless commitment to excellence, mentorship, and community, the recipient of this award is someone whose influence extends beyond the field, leaving a lasting imprint on the lives of those they coach. This award serves as a tribute to the spirit of sportsmanship, hard work, and character that defined Lon Austin's career and continues to shape Prineville athletics. This year's Lon Austin Legacy Athletic Award goes to Ernie Brooks.
Thank you.
And we have Rob Bonner with our spring sports recognitions.
We get to follow that. No microphone now? Do we do away with that? Perfect. So board, in your packets, I think you've already gotten all of the data of fall, winter, and spring, put a big collection in there. And so this will just kind of be a summary of all that and kind of give you the highlights for sake of time. And also there would be a lot to read there. So I just jotted down a few things that we're most proud of. Just a few. League titles. This year we had 13 league titles. That was in football, volleyball, boys soccer, boys cross country, boys wrestling, boys basketball, girls boys track, boys tennis, girls golf, and girls flag football. So pretty amazing league year there. I've never seen anything quite like that in Crook County. State trophies. We've had 10 OSAA, and you can throw on a couple of club trophies as well. Volleyball, third, boys soccer fourth, boys cross country third, boys wrestling first, girls wrestling fourth, boys basketball fourth, Crook County culinary first, boys track first, girls track fourth, girls golf fifth, boys tennis fifth, girls tennis sixth, boys volleyball second, girls flag top 8. Again, pretty amazing season. Had to throw some clubs in. All league individuals, 68 all league individuals. All state individuals, 20. Individual state placers, 47. Individual state champs, 7. League coaches of the year, 10. State coaches of the year, 2. And players of the year, 5. Our academic all-state top 10, we had 5 in the fall, 3 in the winter, and 7 in the spring for 15 teams in the academic top 10. Signing national letters of intent. We had 16 athletes so far sign their national letters of intent to go on to the next level. We have a couple more holdouts that are kind of waiting to see where they fall, but that number should approach close to 20. And in 2025, we're the OACA, Oregon Athletic Coaches Association 4A All Sports Award Team of the Year. So that's basically what you'll come across if you read that whole packet. Any questions on that before I start bringing coaches and athletes up?
That's an impressive list.
Yeah, the coaches did an amazing job. This is a special year. First, Mallory Hall, boys volleyball.
Then Rich can take a quick picture.
Okay, so I am Mallory Hall. I'm the head coach for the boys volleyball team and I have been for the last 2 years. It has honestly been a privilege to coach these boys, and to say it's been a blessing is absolutely an understatement. Seeing the growth in these boys has been absolutely spectacular. Sorry. Not only have they made history playing on the first ever boys volleyball team in Crook County, but 14 of my 16 boys this year did it playing a second spring sport as well. The dedication and grit that these boys have goes unmatched, and they had an amazing season, finishing second in the 4A state championship after taking 7th last year. So a lot of growth there as well. We had 3 all-state players. Hoyt got first team. Evan Wood and Gage Martinez both received second team, but a lot of them deserved that recognition as well. And then above all else, though, I am the most proud of just how kind, respectful, and just how amazing all of these boys are, and they continue to grow. I'm proud of them.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Gotta fit in there.
There you go.
Valerie, how many seniors did you have this year?
This year we had, counting our foreign exchange students, we had 6 seniors.
6 seniors.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any Brooks and staff, track and field. Here they
Sure.
come.
Wherever you got it,
Wrap
we're hunting it down for next year.
I'll hook you up.
You guys can wrap over here too. Just speak to the board. It's good. Now I feel.
didn't bring the whole 130.
They want to crank it in. Hey, just going down through some stats that we had for our season. We had 49 top all-time school records, so in the top 5. Almost 1,000 team PRs. We're built on the PR, the personal record. And when you have a bigger team, we had our biggest team ever. We had 134 kids. And those PRs add up after meet after meet. We defended the house and won both the guys and the girls districts again. Gabe Love, Adam Radeball were the all track award for districts. Natalia was the runner-up on the track. Eli Okers was the MVP of the meet for most points. The biggest one was we had the #1 GPA for boys. We had the #2 for girls in the state. And so previous years, boys being #1, that is pretty amazing. always blows me away when I see some of my guys, okay? Boys win in state again, back to back, first time in school history, it's our second one, going down, the girls, the podium to fourth place was amazing. We had them scheduled at seventh or eighth. And it came down, if you haven't seen the Facebook video, it came down to the last race. For the girls, we needed Klamath Union to be fourth, third, or lower. They were fourth. Our girls are on the podium. Worked their way up. Our boys came down to the last meet with Henley.
Getting way too old for.
I know, we're down, we are up by 2 points going to the last event. We have to beat Henley to win it. If we're one behind them, we tie it. If there's someone between us, we're second. And our boys, got out, Michael got out in the first, started out, brought us in, and then it was Jace, Adam, and he's not here, but the story on him was, he ran in, like a 6-second PR in the 15.
In the heat of the day.
In the heat of the day, zapped out. He was supposed to be second in the 800. He ends up 8th in the 800, like gassed out, went out for it. And we get to him and we're like, hey, can you run a 53, 400?
Well, he said, Coach, I don't have anything left. I just can't kick on that backstretch.
And we asked him, the coaches asked him, and he goes, yes, you're running. And, he ended up running a 51.
Oh, my
And so, but the second leg, he gets us back, up to third or fourth. Jace Jonas, who's recovering from surgery, gets us into third. Henley is in first. Marshfield,
Seconds.
but, yeah, and Marshfield, who has the #1 time coming in, is in second with him. And we have two stellar athletes that we know. We got ace in the hole, that's Gabe Love, and then Bodie Lutz from Marshfield. Like those two, we went down to Marshfield and we had it out, and great results. We broke the school record down there. Well, they get the handout. Marshfield is 50 meters up on us, like ahead of everyone. Henley is, and we get it, and so we're in third for 3.5 laps of this 4-lap race. And here comes Gabe and Bodie Lutz at the 200 mark, and they smoke him down. The guy looked like he was running slow. He wasn't. He ran a 52, which is great. Well, at the end of this race, Marshfield ended up winning, breaking the state record. We broke the state record also, but we were second, so our race really didn't happen on the record books. But
I'm so happy to be second in that race.
Absolutely.
Ahead of Henley.
And Bodie Lutz ran a 45-8 split. That's like NCAA, that's like big time. Gabe Love turned into 46-8 on this last lap. I mean, just the grit that they had, we're finishing this, we're not giving up on this, we're coming home with the trophy. And it came down to our 4x4 of everyone doing their part. We had PRs, splits across the board on it. Eli was, and then on the girls' side, well, Klamath Union, where he said that. Eli was the MVP of the state, 33 points. Gabe Love was third with 22 points. Just amazing ride with a great group that we have, you know, so, but it comes down to you guys. And so, hey, on the back of our trophies, who has the other stadium? Our kids sign and stuff, but hey, you guys are just as equal a part of our team of going, no, sign. Okay.
I think one thing Brooks had mentioned is our kids being top scholars, and it was fun at graduation, just to see like, the valedictorian is part of our track team with Natalia, and the salutatorian is also on our track team with Dylan. And so that makes us quite proud that it's like, those are our kids.
And they're announcing the top 10 in the class, 10%, and you're like, that's ours. That's ours. That's one of our, and tell them that, pretty sweet way. Great. Natalia was our champion in the 800, second in the 4. Our girls 4x1 was fourth. Fifth came out of lane 1. For our girls, Lucy was 4th in the discus with a 10-foot PR. McKenna Maycutt had a 5-foot PR in the discus. Paige Wood PR'd at the javelin. I mean, just absolutely just showing up and going. And we had kids that were in the 9th place, the 10th place of creeping on the door in the finals, like our guys side. Eli was first in the hurdles, first in the long jump, second in the 110, second in triple, which we had him scheduled at like 6th or 7th place, and he moved up. And then third in the 300 hurdles. Gabe was, won the javelin, third in the 2, 5th in the 100, and then anchoring, our second place 4x4, Alex Durrell was third in the high jump, and Jace Jonas was third in the open 400. So, and Michael and Ira was our alternate on the 4x4. He got really close to running that race, and I think it went really white. When Adam, we weren't sure about Adam, and he said, "You're on deck." And I remember looking down on him. I'm like, "Hey, you two, get on deck right now." You like a couple hours out, and they're like, "Oh, I shouldn't have ate that." So we have a great team, a great program, but we don't do it without your guys. So thank you guys.
And Ernie would never say this, remember, Ernie is the national.
National,
coach of the
yeah.
year. So let's give these guys another round of applause.
How many seniors did you have?
27.
Out of 134.
Right here.
I think Ernie always finds the fun things to do, and I think one of the funnest things, and the kids probably will say this too, was, we were early having to pick up lunch from, a place here in town, and, so he's like, well, we're gonna do our send off and go up by Barnes Butte. And, we turned the corner going up Barnes Butte, and I think they had their whole entire school out there, and they had signs made, and Ernie's like, does the bus loop, and then he's like, we're going around again.
Left out. Oh, please.
Get in there, Rob.
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah, sure, get in there.
Come on, Neil, come on, come on.
Bring up
You got a
one,
picture
two,
with
three.
this thing.
You're not in this too late.
Perfect.
Thank you. Let's give him another round. of applause.
Coach Sarah Sinkle with the golf. I think she's doing both men's and women's golf today.
Kind of hard to beat. I didn't have any athletes that could make it. They're all working and everywhere, but so I'm here to do both boys and girls. The boys this year had a really tough district and a really tough state. They didn't think that they were potentially gonna make it to state, so they did, which was a really good thing for them. They got 7th in state. Britt Iverson had a PR both during district and state, and then he was 10th in the state. And they played against a team that tied the state record for I think it was like Bandon. Yeah, Bandon tied the state record at like a 292, golf, that's ridiculous. And then girls this year, we have now won 4 district tournaments in a row. And no other CCHS girls golf team has ever done that. And then we got 5th by 4 strokes. And every single girl on my team broke their PR at state.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, and I graduated 2 seniors who are gonna make a huge difference. But hopefully we can bring up the rest of my 7 freshmen, so that's helpful. And we go from there. So, yeah.
Coach Bill Bailey, baseball.
All right, so we had a little bit of a down year this year, especially after the last couple losing 9 seniors last year. We knew it was gonna be a rebuilding year, and then we had a couple injuries. At one point in one of our league games, I looked out and we had all freshmen and sophomore in the infield, including the pitcher. So we were young, but the thing that I'm most proud of is with this group of guys is just how I remember when I went in to interview for the job 3 years ago, and there was the girls volleyball sportsmanship trophy, and I told Rob, I was like, I want to win one of those. And the number of other teams and umpires, and especially from the Portland area when we go over there and play our league games. So I had multiple umpires and coaches from other teams say, hey, you guys do it right. You guys got a great group of boys, great group of young men, play the game right and good positive attitudes. To me, that's the highlight of the season for me. With it being a down year, just an incredible group of young men that were at one point before practice, I was in my office changing, and I heard them, a couple of them outside arguing with each other on whose fault it was we lost. And it was two kids, but they were taking ownership. It's like, oh, that's my fault. I dropped that fly ball. I shouldn't have. And the other kid's like, no, it's my fault. I walked too many guys. And just something you don't hear very often. So that was awesome. We had 4 guys make all league. Blaze Nunez and Gage Martinez, first team. Gage Martinez, second team all-state, and made the 4A All-Star Series that's being played this weekend. So overall it was down year, but we had a good year and I'm excited to bring a young group of boys back for next year.
Girls flag football, Brad Kudlak and Jenna McLean.
So, my daughter's found out about this becoming an emerging sport through Instagram, and then one day I was in my office and she came in and said, "Hey, Dad, will you coach us?" And I said, that afternoon I called Rob, and sure enough, that's how this kind of started. I kind of called Jeremy shortly after and said, "Hey, you want to coach some girls flag football?" He's got a daughter was on our team as well. And it just kind of snowballed, and we had a pizza meeting, was that February?
Yeah.
And then we were a little late getting this all rolling. And when I got out there and we started coaching them, it was one of those things that it became such an eye-opening experience. I'm not a big Title IX person as a former athletic director. And what it showed me was how much opportunity it gave them to enjoy such a great sport. And that became a very important aspect that they showed me so much that through their efforts and their, I don't know, just their enjoyment of the game showed me like really truly what this emergency sport can be for these athletes. Harper and Dylan Smith, and this is my daughter Hudson, they were kind of some huge key contributors for us. If we were to come to any of the games, you'd see Dylan throwing some passes for touchdowns, like long bombs to her sister. But the center was Hudson, so all 3 would be touching the ball on the same play. But they were truly a treasure to coach. One of the greatest experiences I've ever had. Jason, Willie McKenzie, and Rob were huge for us. All these other coaches have talked about playoffs and everything. Rob's the one that came to me. I thought this was just going to be an activity where we just kind of went out and played football and had a little fun, and all of a sudden Rob started talking to me at the end of the year. "Hey, we got playoffs to prepare for." Playoffs? It sounded like Tim Moore. Like playoffs, and then anyways, we've ended up in the final 8, and I think that we had 6 starters. We had 3 girls not make it to our playoff game that were 2-way starters for us. And I really think that if we had everybody at full force, we ended up losing to the state champions in Barlow in the first round. And I think that we had 14-6 after 3 quarters, and who knows what that 4th quarter could have done if we were fully loaded. But I'm very proud of these 3, but all 17 girls that finished the year for us. But started 21 and finished with 17, and a couple exchange students too. But it was a lot of fun. Jeremy, anything, or ladies?
Perfect.
All right, I guess. Thank you.
Paxton Duel, ladies tennis.
It's just me, like some of the other teams, my girls are all working or something, so go for it. But this was my first year as the girls tennis head coach. I've coached boys high school tennis teams before, first time coaching girls high school tennis team, and it kind of weird. So we were in Roseburg. This was back in like April. We had a tournament there. That was our first trip overnight, and I'm used to coaching, at least the boys' teams I've coached, when I tell them the next morning, we're gonna leave, the bus is here at 7:45, we gotta get there, warm up at 8. I usually go downstairs at 7:30 and no one's there, because they're still in their rooms, and I would have to call and bug them and go knock on their doors to drag them out of their rooms, get them up in the morning. I wake up and I'm still in my hotel room, it's about just after 7 AM. Still 45 minutes before we said the bus was gonna leave. And my captains are texting me already. They're like, Coach, are you up? Are you ready? Like, we're downstairs, we're ready to go. So that was cool, but also made me realize, I mean, looking back at the season, talking to my players, what is most influential and what they remember most are the trips. Especially on a smaller team like tennis, those trips are where everyone bonds. We spend a lot of time together on the court, multiple matches in a day. And to me, that's the most, one of the most fun parts about coaching is doing those trips, getting to know those players, building that team culture. And that's what I'm really excited about going forward is as a first student coach, it's a little bit of a transition to get to know the players, to get to know the team, build that culture. But I think we're on a really good trajectory. We're losing a lot of seniors, 6 seniors that were on our varsity lineup. But we have a lot of good younger players coming through. One of them, the freshman, Gabby Ramos, actually made it to the semis in district tournament. She played her older sister, who's senior, Sammy Ramos, who beat her and then won districts. But then Gabby got to make it to state. So as a freshman and just starting tennis really about 6 months ago, she made it to state. Those are the fun things to see. And I'm really looking forward to building the team and building tennis players in the years to come. So thank you.
Which makes me wondering, and OSET.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we're honored to be here to listen to about all these wonderful athletes. This is a group of kids. I got what I have with me here tonight. It's Oregon High School equestrian team. So we compete in our central district, and there are about 10 schools within our district, which equals about 200 athletes, riders on their horses. And then at the state level, there's about 200 schools, which equals about 1,500 kids. So we have 3 meets within the year. And I'm honored to say that I had 10 athletes this year and 8 of them made it to state. So to be invited to the state meet, you have to be in the top 10% of whatever event that you're competing in. So had some young freshmen this year that made it to state, 3 graduating seniors. Oh. But we are strong, and we have our regional meet coming up next weekend, which we combine, they take the top 5 out of the state, and then we compete with Washington. And I'm honored to say that we have 6 of our athletes going on to regionals. So they had a fantastic year, and our season's a little odd because we start in November and we end in June. So we aren't really spring, summer. We freeze a lot when we practice. But they're all dedicated athletes, and we appreciate the school board and the athletic department for supporting, because not all schools for the athletic or the equestrian teams get the support that Crook County gives. So we appreciate that.
Welcome, thank you guys.
One other, Coralie, I didn't know I was gonna have to talk, so Coralie is always my prepared student, and I appreciate
Yes, she
that
is.
about- And she, I'm gonna just say right off the bat, she is a state record holder. I think she's broke her record 2 or 3 times, but she just continues to get better each time she runs. So
Yeah.
anyway,
I just have some stats about our team. So At districts, this year, our figure eight district record was broken by freshman Addie 3, which never happens. Records never really get broken by freshmen. So that was quite the accomplishment in itself. So we can give her a round of applause. And funny enough, 2 runs later, I ran and I broke it again, and so I hold the district record myself. I think that record hasn't been broken for 4 or 5 years, so for it to be record twice in the same meet on the same day in the same event is pretty cool. But as a team, we qualified for state in 14 events across the board. At state, Emma Brandow, which is at the end, and I came home with back-to-back state champion titles in the biwrangle. We had 3 top 5 placings, which sends you to Pinwick, which is our regional competition. And we had multiple top 10 finishes. And as a team, like I said, we're going to Pinwick, which is basically comparable to our nationals, in 4 events, which we'll compete in like 2 weeks. Yeah.
One, two, three. Great job.
Yes. Yes, please.
Being a parent of an OSET athlete, it's not like just throwing your gym shoes in the closet. That animal, there was one weekend where they had a 7-hour practice. And then had to come home and take care of their animal. And I mean, it's just not, again, it's not just a pair of gym shoes that gets thrown in the closet for year round. I'll pick them up next spring when season comes back. It's a year round thing and it's a lot of work and a lot of effort. So.
Very good. Thank you, guys. Unless coaches snuck in at the very end, Eric and Ryan might be. Eric, do you have anything to say? Boys tennis?
Well, unlike Paxton, I coach the boys, and so there is a lot of,
Technology, who knew it?
so I do have to remind them every morning and every night, like, no, now we need to be in our room. And then now we need to actually like, probably eat breakfast before you play, things like that. So I started coaching 5 years ago. We had 8 boys on our team wearing most of them wearing cowboy boots out there. This year I'll graduate 9, 9 seniors this year. Hoyt Kudlak, none of the others were here, but Hoyt Kudlak was one of the dual sport. He's gone to state now 2 years in a row in tennis, and then state for volleyball, and he'll be back, I'm sure, back at state next year. So yeah, it's just really fun to build a program over these years. We've got a great group that's coming in, and you see the older kids that are kind of like trying to build up this younger group. We've got really talented, a couple of really talented freshman players, and to see activity on our courts on the weekends, that I think is the coolest part for me. Is there's no reason that we shouldn't have people on those courts playing all the time, and really just kind of falling in love with the game. So it's really a great opportunity and a privilege for me to be able to coach them, and massive appreciation to our director team and our board for allowing me this 3-month window where I can disappear from my normal responsibilities and be able to sneak away outside to a place that I love and fell in love with, which is the court, and be able to grow these just amazing kids up so that they can play this kind of forever game for the rest of their life. So thank you. Appreciate it.
And it's fun, the duo of Paxton and Eric. It's been a fun year. It's been a lot of fun having guys like that with our kids. So as well as all of our coaches, staff, you saw them, they're an amazing group. So thank you, board, for all your support. And I know it's long-winded. Do you have any questions?
I do have an observation for you, Rob. I want to say, first of all, thank you for lifting our spirits and our souls and giving us something to watch. We all love that part. But on a more serious note, I just don't want to let you leave without acknowledging why the ultimate reason why this is so important, what you do and all this engagement you cause. Because an engaged student is not a student we have to worry about. It is a student who will be safe. It is a student who will perform academically. It is a student who will solve all the other problems we spend hours at this table and God knows how much money trying to fix. So I think you're our chief athletic officer, which I appreciate and do a great job, but you're so much more. You're our chief security officer and you're our chief performance officer in many ways. And I just want to say thank you for that
Thank you.
aspect of what you do.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
All right. I have some retirees, and this is a very special one because I know all of them.
You should by now.
Right? So typically we say, hey, hold your applause to him, but these people deserve to be recognized. So we're gonna recognize them individually. I'm gonna start with Donna Lindsay. Donna, stand up. So Donna Lindsay has, I have here total years in education, 33 years. Crook County is so lucky because the Lindsays decided to finish their last 2 years with us. So 33 years, retiring to a grandbaby due at any moment. So let's give Donna Lindsay. Grandpa, soon. John, 30 years in education, the last 2 with us has done just. Both Donna and John have done such an amazing job, just a gift to the Crook County School District these last 2 years. So thank you guys. John Lindsay, good ride. Mary Dugan. Mary Dugan, 28 total years in education. 18, the last 18 are here. She has taught our ELD students up at Barnes View, impacted so many lives. We are so grateful and we will be missing you dearly. So, Mary Dugan. One thing I forgot to mention, I don't know if you guys saw this rocking chair as you walked in. So our CTE program made rocking chairs for all our retirees. So. Ryan Cochran will deliver them to your school. Take a seat. They're actually very, very comfortable. Natalie Godat. Let's give her a round of applause. Natalie is 25 years, all in Crook County School District. All here with us, serving the kids, teaching them how to read, you were teaching them how to read. Doing an amazing job, all years here in Crook County School District. We're so grateful for having you guys. Now, this is my friend. Dave Johnson. Dave and I spent a number of years together at Crook County High. Dave is the most patient soul you will ever meet. One 10-second story. I once, at the high school, there's a balcony. I saw one of our students throw a backpack off the top to the bottom. And Dave just goes, okay, we're gonna, there's on the back and grab. Such a patient guy, has 30 years in education. The last 19 here in the Crook County School District. We're gonna dearly miss him, so. Now Colette's actually not retiring until October, but we figured let's bring her to this one and not back. So Colette's been with us the last 8 years, keeping those high school books straight, making sure everything's organized, fundraisers, everything. We will dearly miss Colette. So Colette Smith. Leslie Gallion, I don't know if these numbers are right.
And it's all special ed.
38 years in special education, the last 9 with us in the Crook County School District.
Graduate.
Yeah, such a treasure for us here in the district, helping out teachers, staff, students, so we will definitely miss Leslie Gallion. Let's give it. And these two tried to hide from me. So, Christine, you want to stand up real quick? So Christine Kasperger, 26 years, all with the Crook County School District.
34 overall, 26 with the district.
Bonus years, 34 total years, all teaching math.
Well, English and Spanish in there too.
Mixed a little English and Spanish in there. Christine has been just a pillar over at Pioneer and at the high school, will be dearly missed. So Christine Kasperger. Janice Radabaugh. So, hey, a fun fact about Janice Radabaugh. At 35 years, she is the longest serving Crook County School District employee. So let's give her a big.
She's not, because it only took her 8 years to figure out to retire.
So 35 years, we will miss, Janice always tells me I'm her son. But we will miss her dearly. One more fun fact. Now Aaron Woodward. Aaron Woodward now takes the throne as the longest serving Crook County School District member. But Janice, 35 years, thank you for everything. You'll miss the day.
You know, I would say I've been 30, I'm spending the last almost hour.
You got a lot to celebrate here.
You can spend 2 hours on this. It's better than the alternative.
Thank you for that. That was amazing.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes,
Thank you all.
Check out the rocking chair.
I think you should spray paint Janice as your gold, right? For being the longest serving.
Do what?
Spray paint Janice as your gold.
Oh,
For being longest serving.
right?
You stay in the 35 when you get coffee. Right, Steve?
It's a warm up. All right. Excuse us, Bob. Or off our coffee. Okay, moving to 4.0, other agency reports. We have Dr. Laura Norquist with the ALO Charter Board report. Yeah. It's not. Yep, he's putting it all right now. I guess I should listen.
1, 2 chairs.
Oh, why you guys can sit right here and then I'll have you guys as well.
Well, good.
Hi, I haven't met most of you. I'm Dr. Laura Nordquist, 33 years out here in Central Oregon, with Sister School District, 2 years here in Crook County, 16 years with Ben Lapine in the last year with the High Desert ESD. So I saw some familiar faces tonight in the group of retirees that you honored. I don't know, I think, are some of you new to the board? I don't, so you may not be aware that it is required by Oregon state law, and it's in your own board policy, that annually you evaluate the contracted alternative programs. So those are programs that engage with the school district by contract, and those can be yearly, they can be every 5 years. Crook County School District has 2 contracted alternatives, the COIC Compass program at Pioneer High School, and we have Josh Lagallo and Chris Schofield from COIC, and Tammy Binky is there back there, the executive director of COIC. And then Powell Butte Community Charter School is also a contracted program. We have Meredith Foley here from Powell Butte Charter School. So they'll be able to talk a few minutes about their programs. Oh, Tammy, I'm sorry, I went to the next one and then I've just got one more. So those are your 2 programs. I wanted to talk just briefly about my role. So I say to the alternative programs that 10% of my role is evaluating them, and really 90% is to just help them. Coaching, being a cheerleader, supporter. The regional ALOs are working on a big grant right now, and I'm helping with that process. So, and get to visit. I was at Powell Butte's big celebration. I told Meredith, you've seen a school with 200 kids with, I don't know, another 400 parents there. It was quite a culminating event. And I was at joined the COIC work crew out at Pioneer a couple of weeks ago, and was able to talk to Jeff Warren about the program there, and that was great. I wanted to talk about next year. Just what I've tried to do with the programs is each year focus on a couple of different areas. This year we looked at instructional time. I kind of dug in to make sure all the programs were meeting requirements about instructional hours. Next year, we'll be focusing on safety, some of the safety requirements, and just making sure that all the programs are doing what the state and your own policy require in terms of safety requirements. And then one thing that we're doing next year is the data that's shared with you in the evaluation report often only shows a single year of data. And so sometimes that's difficult to know, what does that mean? And so beginning next year, you'll see in the annual report that your programs will have 3 years worth of data. So you can have at least a look back over the last 3 years. I think that that will be useful to you. So I'm going to turn it over to the programs to present. And then if you all have any questions for them or for me, we're happy to answer them. So Josh?
Sure. 2 minutes up here if you want. Hi, I'm Josh Zagallo. I manage CYC's Youth Compass or Employment Training Program. I know most of you from last year and years prior before, but I just really want to thank the board and the district for all the support for our program, because we wouldn't be able to kind of do what we do, which is a really, really unique partnership, not like anything that I've ever really seen in the state, certainly not locally, where you have CYC employment counselors that are housed in Pioneer, working with Pioneer students. And fully supported and have a space and office and desk. We have all of our equipment there, and basically our focus with our multiple funding streams that we kind of funnel into that is re-engaging disengaged students, primarily focused on students at Pioneer, but we're also offering employment and training opportunities to all Crook County School District students as well. If you guys have any questions, I can go into like details about how those crews run. Jeff Warren runs a work crew year round. That's pretty new. That's only been happening for 2 years with a big support from Joel, kind of funneling district funding into kind of backfill some of the wages, because students earn an hourly wage to do that. And then the other employment counselor who's new this year, his name's Joe Beat, and he's phenomenal and a really good compliment to Jeff. He runs a field crew, which is primarily out in the forest, BLM, doing a lot of fuels reduction work, and that's in the fall and the spring. Students are also paid an hourly wage. And the key piece of the program is that those students are out in the field learning, earning credit for their work, and also getting paid. But the other 2 days for that period, that session, they're in school. Some of them are GED for proficiency, some of them are credit recovery, but they must show academic progress to continue to do the field component. And you know your students more than anyone, is these are blue collar kids and they want to work and they want to earn money and they don't really want to go to school. And so it's a really good program piece, how it all lines up. And it's really good for credit recovery. It's really good for employment and training. And those staff are working with those students upon completion, resumes, interviews. We do a lot of paid internship stuff here locally, trying to kind of funnel some of those students that are interested into a career, into a paid internship, and then hopefully kind of elevating them from there. So.
And I just want to jump in. I'm Chris Schofield, Youth Education Manager, and Josh really knows the program inside and out. But these students we serve are the students who have either dropped out or who are behind in credits, or who are just not completing the minimum required amount of work for the Crook County School District. So that's our population that we're serving. And Pioneer provides the academic piece of this program.
One element just to add to that, this is one of my favorite programs we have going in our district. So these students, disengaged, needing credit recovery, but you get them a job, you get them something that has purpose, and you give them a real task, and they come alive and they start earning credit. And one of the really cool parts is they're working for Leland. They're doing maintenance jobs throughout the district in the summer. So it's our students working on our buildings, earning credits, getting those life skills. It's really like a win-win-win-win. So it's something we're very proud of in here, and something that we presented at, Josh has presented at conferences, our model that we're doing here. So
yeah, it's copied, if that's the word you want to use. I've had superintendents from like Baker and other folks call me and it's be like, well, how is this all working? And it's like, I'm like, it's a blended approach. Like everybody has to pitch in to kind of make it all happen. If you want a program of that caliber to work with those students, you have to be able to pay Jeff Warren and Joseph Beaton. Like you have to be able to compensate those guys and bring in high quality caliber staff that are going to be able to work with you know, some pretty wily, highly energetic students, you know, out on a fence build project in the middle of the woods. So it's like, it's a very unique program.
So wait, you have superintendents calling and asking you how our program works.
Yeah, I have.
So why don't we have these guys at Oregon School Boards Association as a presentation?
Sure.
And we'll go to them instead of them all wasting Josh's time calling in.
I like it.
Go to the seminar or else.
Yeah.
Josh, what would you say, you know, if you look into like next year, like one or two things, like, gosh, I'd really love to double down on this, and I think, you know, it's like the biggest lever to like.
I think one thing that we could probably expand pretty here in Kirk County is the internship type program. And don't just think a paid internship as a business or a career. We have a pilot program that we're running with Ben Lapine right now called CEIs, or career exploration internships. And it's like a cohort of 7 kids that all are interested in manufacturing, and we transport them 6 weeks, 1 day a week, and they go to Hum Kombucha, they go to these actual businesses locally and talk to real people that are like behind, like, where did you go to school? How long have you worked here? How much money do you make? What does it take? It's like this exposure piece, and it needs to be, yeah, it's kind of like a rotation, but the students can't just sit there on their phone and hang out. They have to be engaged, and they're chaperoned by our staff that are making sure we're not letting kids drive there themselves, but just that kind of like out of the box, non-traditional, how we can expose students to like where they can work and what a day in the life looks like working there.
Yeah.
So that would be one.
Josh, do you know what percentage of your students that you touch either get a GED or graduate?
I know we have multiple funding streams, and the federal one I track. And so 80% of them are working 2 quarters after they're exited. 75% of them are still working or in post-secondary a year after exit. And I track credential rate for all 3 counties, and it's actually the highest here. I want to say it's like the students that we enrolled that don't have a GED or diploma upon exit that do, it's like 81%.
How does that compare to the other 2 counties?
Well, Madras is probably the lowest. We don't have a educational component there. And re-engagement is totally different, but it's just like having COIC employment counselors in the building, working with the staff there, working with Michelle is like, it's gold. It's really kind of what makes that all happen, because Jeff, who's been there forever, has such a strong relationship and communication with the counselors and teaching staff there, that if a student needs to stay in because they're so close to completing their math credit, then we just seamlessly kind of flex. And that's really kind of one of the pieces that works really well.
I just want to add to what Josh said, that partnership between Pioneer and the COIC program is really something. And that the district has invested. I saw the Pioneer facility, the new facility, for the first time this fall, and I was just blown away. You know, as you recognize, Christine Casperger has a strong staff, a really nice facility, and that public-private partnership there. And you guys have a really good thing.
I can add on that out of 42 students enrolled for the year, about 300 high school credits were earned. And that's about 7 credits per student. So that's pretty spectacular.
I just think it's so important what we do, because Oregon struggles with this graduation rate. Kirk County does not, yay us. But that's because the students who are at risk of not graduating are the ones you and Pioneer are tackling. So thank you, because that number doesn't happen because we invest in our high-performing students. It's those that are on the bubble that you're helping get back on track. So thank you so much. And thank you for growing staff as well, because they turn into board members. Mr. Kevin Bradley used to be at COIC, and now he's gonna be on the board next month, so.
I worked for Kevin for a long time. I mean, I basically started as a crew leader, employment counselor, and have run work crews here in Prineville many years ago. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Kevin. It's kind of odd having him sit behind me, but it's fine.
He's in front of you next year.
Yeah.
Do the kids that you have in these crews have a chance to get
like lead the crews themselves as well?
We do like a lot of like mock assistant crew leader stuff
Yeah.
with them. And it needs to be like a really appropriate project, and it needs to be something that a student has earned, that they have some leadership like potential. And I've done it before as a crew leader, and I kind of try to model train it with employment counselors of like, you're actually in charge and running the show, but you want them to make mistakes or to learn, but within reason. And sometimes what you'll do is you'll rotate one student for the first half of the day and another student for the second half of the day. But you want them also to like to have enough experience on that particular project to know. And particularly like with Jeff Warren's crew, they do so much of your irrigation out here. My program coordinator, Matt Mahoney, went out and worked with that crew just last week. And he was like, Jeff is talking, they're like talking code, like, and they're talking like pipe size, fitters, sprinkler heads, but they're just talking like diameters and sizes. And he's like, I'm the odd man out. Like I don't even know what they're talking about. And the kids are basically like kind of running it on their own. And Jeff's just making sure that quality control is being hit. Very cool.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There it is. You don't come see us often.
Well, is that an invitation?
It is.
Thank you. I will get here more. I had to apologize to Joel today for not saying him enough. Welcome to the new members who I haven't got to meet yet. Yeah, so I know that these three know a lot about Pavia Community Charter School, and I can answer all kinds of questions, but that's not necessarily the point of tonight. So I brought some highlights from our year to share with you beyond what maybe you saw in the report. I'm sure there's a few overlaps here, but I'll go through the things that I wanted to make sure to share with the board this evening, and then I'm happy to answer further questions as you all would like. I know it's a robust agenda. So for those that haven't met me before, I'm Meredith Foley. I'm the principal at Pavia Community Charter School, have been a longtime community member, grew up in Pavia, went to Crook County High School, and a lot of the seniors and other students that you saw here tonight were mine and went through our school, and we're very proud to be this extension of the Crook County School District. So as a place-based ed school, our whole mission and vision through our charter is to work to connect our students' learning to the places where they work, play, and live. And we do this through a 3-year cycle focus of land, community, and water. We're in a land year, so our social studies and science content gets integrated as much as we possibly can into mathematics and ELA as well. And then we have these big projects that students get to focus on. And as Laura mentioned, we just had our culmination on Friday. So our primary students were principal pollinator protectors this spring, and their teachers took them through an incredible unit of learning all about the importance of pollinators in our community, and all of their field work was connected to that topic. And then they had a pledge, and they were amazing little pollinator protectors, and we have butterflies, and incredible learning was had. And our intermediate students, which are our 3rd through 5th graders, focus in on the land year of agriculture and economy through local commodities. And so we went to farmers markets, and then they all chose a commodity that is native to Oregon, and they did all the research on it. They were super engaged and held their own farmers market on Friday as part of their culmination. There's also this westward expansion piece in Oregon Trail that moves through the unit for students, and that connects with our 4th graders taking their first overnight field study. And our middle school students focus a lot on our local geology, and then we go from local to Oregon to national and global connections of history, with a specific focus on westward expansion and global exploration. So what's happening now, what's happened in the past, here and beyond. So lots of incredible learning at PBCCS this year. As I mentioned, 4th graders are the year that we kick off overnight field studies, and so they go for one night, and then 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th all have different trips that they take throughout the Oregon community as well. And I can proudly say that our K-8 school went on 34 field studies this school year. We engage with many community partners, and just a couple of the highlights I'll mention: the Central Oregon Geology Society, Naturehoods, OSU Master Gardeners, and the Oregon Bee Project. And then this year, we were able to expand our middle school elective programming by bringing in community partners to be experts and do the teaching. So we had the ham radio crew that I know is connecting with CCMS, and CCHS came and they did a 8-week cycle with our students. And we had a parent bring in wood shop, which was very not at all like what the incredible wood shop at CCMS is looking like, but our students were really jazzed about it, and they remade all of our garden beds. And then we do a lot of buddy work within our big students and little students, and so our garden is refreshed. So those are the major highlights this spring, and I'm just so proud of my teaching staff. We're in the second year of a ELA curriculum adoption, and we're seeing wonderful growth there. We had 72% of our students at end of year benchmarks or above the grade level scores that we were looking for, which is a great improvement over last year. And we are in a new math curriculum this year, moving in the iReady direction, which I know CCSD has been looking at that as well. And math is really our focus for this next school year, to be able to continue that ELA work and then really shore up those pieces of math for our students. We have 8th grade graduation tomorrow at 6 p.m. So I know there would be some people in the room that would be interested in knowing that. You are all welcome to attend as we usher these students out. The class is 20 students this year, and a handful of them have been with us since they were in kindergarten. And so the emotions at school this week are just high for excitement, and also the deep love of our students that we have watched grow up and mature and become incredible young adults in our community in time. So last thing I will mention is that people always ask us about our wait list and how's the school doing and whatnot. This time of year, we're always full for next year at 220, but then every single day something changes. Families finally tell us, well, we did decide that we're moving to Florida. That happened this week. Our student got in at this school, and so we're going to take them all together. All of those things happen just like at Steens, Pillar, and we understand, and that's the life that we live. And so as more applications roll in, we get more kids in, and our numbers continue year after year after year to be between the 218 and 210 mark consistently. So we are going to continue our science of reading work for next year and we're going to use our early literacy funds to focus on reading intervention, and that's working really well. We're going to do lots of professional development with iReady, solidify our student mathematical understanding and application. And something that is unique to PalBU is that we have PE every day. And so we're going to continue. That is in our budget. We will apply for the ODE PEAK grant and hopefully get those funds to continue to sustain that program. And then we have a social emotional learning teacher and a place-based ed coordinator. And those things are set to move forward and serve our students in those special ways as well. That is all I have for you.
Continue to do great work.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
It's amazing.
I want to use your appearance as an opportunity to just commend to the rest of the board an idea that I had read about probably a year ago. So I said the whole article. It was in the American Educator. And it posited a new way we're going to do education in the future. And I thought it was worth considering. And this is for you too, Kevin. And it's the idea that we're going to move into a new environment where education is a la carte. And we are no longer going to see public schools being the predominant default educator. We're going to see a world where people take a little of this, a little of that, a little private, a little charter, a little COIC, all these different pieces. And the job of the school district morphs into being the record keeper and certifier of quality programs. And at the end, you get your diploma from wherever you get it from, but the district throws its weight behind saying, yes, these were good programs, and yes, these are all the pieces, and this is how they all fit together.
Kind of facilitator.
Exactly, a facilitator and welcoming in, whether we like it or not, the alternatives to the way we've always done things. And I thought the article was destroyed by the Advocates for Public Education right after it was published, not surprisingly. And some unions were involved in that destruction too. But I think it was right on with how a smart, forward-looking school district looks forward to how we're gonna work with these. And I think Crook County has done a good job. Fits and starts. I've worked with a lot of boards and a lot of board members over the years. Some are better than others. And we have done a good job of leaning into saying, you know, we need to make partners. We're responsible. We're not responsible for the system. We are we are responsible for the whole system, but not just our piece of it. We're responsible for the education of every child who resides in Crook County's boundaries. And they're, you know, we're accountable to the taxpayers and the parents of all of them, regardless of how they choose to pursue their education. So if we look at it from that and say, what is best for this kid and this family, and let them work on that and collaborate with them to make it happen, we end up in a much better position. I think Crook County has done that well over the years, and I hope this board, which now will have 3 people who have been heavily involved in alternative education, will continue to be able to do that as we go forward. I think we'll be a much stronger district if we can stay on that track. But I will try and dig up that article and send it all. It really was kind of mind blowing about the paradigm shift that's in front of us. So I don't know that we fully engaged that. Anyway, thank you for being a part of it. You are a bright and shining star in the
Oh.
constellation.
That is very kind of you, Scott. Okay.
Does anybody have any questions?
Come visit us.
All of my kids love it.
Yeah.
Still talk about that every now and then.
I love when I get turned into them like Corley today. We have some graduates come and.
Oh, that's right,
members,
yes, you did.
so, yeah, it was wonderful.
Very
So
cool.
thank you all for what you're doing.
Bummer. Thank you. All right, we have action in front of us too. Board.
Oh, Madam Chairman, I move to adopt the consent agenda.
Go back here.
Well, that is action. Well, I got my motion already. We'll do it.
I'm so happy for you. Could you
Chairman,
back
I
that
move
up?
to adopt the ALO Charter Board report.
Seconded.
All right, we have a motion to adopt the ALO contract. We have a second. Do we have further discussion? All right, let's take a vote. Kelsey? Yes. Scott?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And myself, yes, as well. Almost at the first before it's Steve, and then I'd be lost. Now we can move to the 5.0 approval of the consent agenda.
Madam Chairman, I move to adopt the consent agenda with great sadness, noting the resignation of Jay Weeks as Director of Human Resources.
Was he here? Okay, yes.
There he is back there.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt the approval of the consent agenda with sadness for one resignation, and we have a second. Do we have further discussion? All right, let's go ahead and vote. Kelsey?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And yes as well. Thank you. Okay, 6.0 finance report. Miss Ann, you are up.
The consent agenda is a little thick, so I'll give you a second to.
Yeah,
Six point one. The finance report. And doing that, I'll just mention the finance report is always posted online as well. In the finance report on the 3rd page, there's as always, there's a projection for the general fund. And so there's some changes from the last report that we received last month that I just want to point out to you. Line 24 is the ending fund balance projection. And you'll see in the estimate to year end, I have $2,288,565. That's the amount of next year's budgeted beginning fund balance. So I have estimated that this year's ending fund balance is going to be exactly the amount of next year's beginning fund balance. Because I know that I can make it exactly that by taking any excess above that and putting it in the transfers line on line 17. So it's not as impressive as it sounds when I use the budget target for that number.
I was gonna give you all the credit. Magic.
So that's what I've done is basically plug that number in and say that's what it needs to be. Okay? And then on line 17, whatever's above that in my projection will go in the transfers line. So that amount shows over budget, but as I mentioned in the previous board meeting, that's fine because it's all between 100 level funds, so it's not a budget issue. So what that does is it causes a deficit on line 19.
But it's a planned deficit, and it's because those transfers are going to be more than budget, so there's nothing alarming. This amount for transfer it's a good thing. It just means that we've had kind of better than budget as far as revenue and expenses. But it's nothing like the last 2 years. So the last 2 fiscal years were much bigger. We just had a lot more unanticipated things happening in those years. So it's still good, but it's not like it was. And really, the things that happened in the previous 2 years were not necessarily good things, where we had so many positions that were unfilled that it was really hard on the operations. So, but overall, it's a decent financial picture. Good job. Any questions on the finance report?
I think is the state legislature doing something on the
Yes, for next year.
for next,
Yes,
okay.
it is. It's a good question. So what they've done is they've actually passed a bill and it's been signed by the governor to reduce the PERS rates by 1.68 percentage points. So instead of our PERS rates going up by 12-ish percentage points, they're going up by 10-ish percentage points. That's still a huge deal. PERS is still like the major story of next year, even if we had started the budget year knowing that that's where it would have been. So basically what'll happen is rather than having to pull $1 million out of a reserve to make up that difference, we'll only have to pull maybe 600,000 out of that reserve. It'll be helpful, but it's still pretty rough. That's what's good. We'll take it. Yeah, it is positive. It is. Do you like me to move on? Yep. Right, 6.2, 6.3, and 6.4 are all together on one cover sheet for you because you can, if you would like, approve all of them at once, or you can do individual items and discuss them. They're all regarding the budget adoption. 6.2 is just a grand total number that says we will adopt the budget. The next one is, sorry, that was resolution 7. And then resolution 8 is making appropriations, which is basically the same idea, except it's breaking it out into funds and categories within those funds with the same grand total. And then resolution 9 is the imposition of taxes. So we have 2 kinds of taxes. One is just regular property tax that goes into the general fund and is smoothed by the state school fund. The second is the outside of the general fund, and it's to pay for debt service on bonds that have been issued in the past. Any questions on any of this?
Madam Chairman, I move to adopt resolutions 07, 24, 25, 08, 24, 25, and 09, 24, 25.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the table to adopt resolution 7, number 7, 24, 25, number 8, 24, 25, and number 9, 24, 25, and a second. Do we have further discussion? Okay. Let's vote. Kelsey?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Jen? Yes. I like to throw that in there just to be a little different. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Miss Anna. All right.
Well, your hard work on the budget. That
Yeah.
wasn't easy.
No. I keep you on your toes still.
And I just want to note for public consumption, that budget, which had to make up that horrible deficit in PERS, didn't affect any services to any students.
Or new employment.
Or any, well, there was some employment, but it was all handled through attrition. right?
Yeah.
There were a lot of people who made that happen, and Dr. Hoff definitely deserves credit.
So just thank you for putting students first.
Thank you. Both of you. Okay, 7.0 superintendent update. We're gonna start with Mr. Hartman.
That's right.
Answer. You.
So we're gonna do this in 2 parts. I kind of like the way Ernie did his track stuff, so we're gonna do a little CCHS and CCSD graduation by the numbers. So I'll do that part, and then Sarai will do a quick breakdown of the local scholarships. And then you'll hear from the salutatorian and the valedictorian as well, it'll be, the graduation week from their perspective. Before we get started though, I want to give Sarai a shout out. She was hired February 4th. So Kelly Dunn, the amazing Kelly Dunn, who we thought we could never replace. Found a new position. We hired Sarai. She jumped in both feet first and has just been unbelievable to work with. Great work ethic, super collaborative, and just took everything by the reins and just put on the entire, I mean, basically senior awards night and did an amazing job. So she deserves a bunch of credit for everything. She just hit the ground running and just jumped right in. So super hard worker, very, very glad to have her on our team. So just want to make sure you guys know that. So, okay, so I was able to get some numbers from CCOO, GMH, and Pioneer as well. So CCHS had 178 graduates. Pioneer had 94, GMH had 5, and CCOO had 2 full-time students that graduated. From CCHS, we had 44 students enter the workforce at about 25%. 6 students going into the military, 3%. 41 students were either community college or dual enrolled, so that was 23%. 56 were 4-year university, so about 31%. And then we had 18 students that were enrolled in trade schools, so that's 10%. 1 was undecided, 1 took a gap year. 6 students were exchange students. We had 5 students that were special education students that are moving on to going to continue going to school with us in the next steps transitions. At Pioneer, we had two students going to go to the military. We had 25 students that were either going to be trade school or community college. So that's about 27%. 58 students were entering into a career or workforce. So that's about 62%. 9 were unsure. So, and then GMH, we had 5 graduates. 2 were going to college and 3 were going to career workforce. And then CCOO, we have 1 student going into a beauty school and then 1 wasn't sure what they were doing. So it's kind of the breakdown of where students are going by school for the class of 2025. And Scott, you told us that you heard good things about graduation. I was really proud of our graduation. You know, there's always things that we can fix, but having it at the fairgrounds, we've been really grateful to have it at the fairgrounds. So thanks, Steve, for your work on that. And we have just an unbelievable team and we're just getting we're just getting good at it. I think with the parade and doing all the things, it didn't seem as stressful this year. And I think that's just because we have a great team and we've kind of gotten used to it. This was our 5th parade that we put on. I didn't realize that, but we put on 5 parades now.
We started in
2020, yeah, COVID. So we have that down. The signs are still a hit. Always get suggestions on where we should put the signs or different ideas and love those ideas.
Wasn't it safer, lack of better term, to have them at the fairgrounds like they have been? Like they're not gonna.
The graduation or the signs?
The signs. They're not being.
Safer probably for the people installing them. No, I think there's like positives and negatives to both, right? Like it is really cool to have them on 4th Street. But the city and the folks involved in putting the parade on when we have to cross 3rd, it really, I mean, they would do it, but they would much rather us not do that. And so we're not going by 4th Street. And then like it makes, Rob's out there, Rob and Kimberly actually driving a car down 4th Street, grabbing Kimberly's out there running, throwing them on the trailer and it's crazy. So, it's been great. Yeah. Like for parents to be able to just get the sign right away and take it. It's better that way. And it is kind of cool to have them all along the fence and see it. It's kind of a nice display, but
We had
we're always-
7 signs not picked
7 signs not picked up.
out of the biggest class event, so it was a hit.
How many zip ties did you pick up?
Hundreds.
So, yeah, we're always open to new ideas to make it better, but I really am just really proud of our team for the way we all rallied together, counselors, the whole counseling center staff, including our registrar and secretaries and Sarai. And I mean, it's just been amazing. Bree, of course.
You guys were cranking.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was. Steve and I were having a hard time just keeping going. Like Evan was reading names so fast and we're just reading names so fast. It was like, okay.
Step counts for graduation week are well over 100,000 for the week. So
Sure.
it's good, but we love it. And when we're done, it's emotional for all of us and we love it and we love the kids. So
Jake, just going back to your
Yeah.
numbers about kids that are community college bound, trade school bound. And
Yeah.
4-year bound, can you add all those numbers up and come up with a total percentage of our kids that are headed to one of those 3?
let me see.
Right now.
Oh,
but
I could do it right now.
email it to us.
Oh, sure, I can do that.
Just what percentage of our kids are going on Some sort.
Some sort of trade, community college, or, yeah, I could get that for you, no problem.
I mean, that was a great breakdown by school, but.
Yeah.
District wide.
Sure. Sure, can do that for
Because
you.
the numbers, if I understood your numbers, they're much higher than what we've been hearing. That's actually a really good sign. I like this.
That'd be 64% at CCHS. Hold on here. 29% at Pioneer. 40% at GMH and 50% at CCO. So,
Add them all up and see where we're
okay,
at.
will do.
Interesting to know.
All right. Any questions for me before we move on to Sarai?
I think so. It was such a joy to be a part of it. I felt like an honor just to see all your guys' hard work together.
It's fun.
Okay, me. First, the awards night, I couldn't have done it without the support of everybody else. I didn't know what I was doing and they were like, oh, you're doing fine. No, you're doing fine. Yeah, let's just do it. Okay, let's go. So for scholarships, CCHS, the 2025 graduates, we had 59 students win scholarships. From GMH, we had 1 student win a scholarship. From we had 2 students who were juniors that won a scholarship. One was a mentorship program, which is a one-on-one mentorship with a lawyer from the federal bar. And then the other was a renewable scholarship, and he won it from the Masons. And then we had 2 students who were sophomores that got scholarships from Voices of Democracy, which is a national scholarship. It's renewable. They can apply every single year. And we had 1 freshman that won that scholarship as well. 60 students won scholarships from our class, 67 donors. 23 were managed by Crook County Foundation and Rebecca Lambert. 3 of our students were awarded the Ford Family Foundation. So that scholarship, you can get up to $40,000 per year per student. So for each student, that's $160,000 for a total of $480,000 over those 4 years.
That's unheard of for a small school.
Amazing. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
We had 3 students who were awarded the OSU Presidential Scholarship, which is $10,000 per year per student for a total of $40,000. Only 1 of our students accepted that scholarship. So that's a total of $120,000, but for just the 1 student, it's $40,000. So total money awarded in scholarships, which is different than what I gave on the night because I had last minute additions from smaller scholarships and from Crook County Foundation. So $845,811.98 was awarded to our students. That does include the 4-year Ford Family Foundation. So if you take out 3 years of that Ford Family Foundation, it's $525,811.98 given to our students in scholarships, which is amazing.
Yes. Going into this next year.
Yes.
So great.
Yeah.
What are other districts that close? I mean, that's a pile.
I don't think so.
I don't think
When I
so.
tell other people that, they're like, what? They're blown away, so.
Yeah.
They're generous.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I mean, most of these local scholarships are, $500, $1,000 or $2,000, but it's just, they just pile up. Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing the work that the students do. I have to commend both Natalia and Dylan. They both had the most awarded the 3 of them and Kira Howe, and the 3 of them also got awarded the OSU Presidential Award. So the 3 of them are 1, 2, 3 on scholarship awards. So
It's amazing.
they put a lot of hard work into them. It's crazy. Mm-hmm.
I was
Yeah.
on the Scholarship Foundation, one of them, and that was my first time ever, and the applications were
Mm-hmm.
amazing,
Mhm.
like, to read their stories and to read, you know, what they're wanting to go into. I mean, I was blown away.
Takes a lot of work.
It does. And it was, at first it was a little overwhelming, but then you just gotta start, you know, just start reading them, just start going through them. So it was,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun and I appreciate being a part of that because it was a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, I learned a lot, so that was good.
Yes. And that's it.
So now you get to hear from our salutatorian and valedictorian. They're gonna freestyle a little bit. I told them just to talk about their experience for graduation week, so you guys can ask me questions as well, and they're both really good
I
at
think
being
this is
honest.
the fifth time you guys have been. up
It's
there.
okay. Also star athletes. Somebody's gotta do it. Yeah.
I'm so generous. That's what it is. You wanna go first? You want me to? Sure. So we're the salutatorian and valedictorian of our class, and I personally was just so honored to participate in our grad week. I think our school district just does a really good job at, you know, honoring the seniors and putting on a really great week for us. You know, we get out of school a week early, and then it's just go, go, go. So I'm still catching up on sleep. I'm still exhausted. We had, you know, baccalaureate on Monday, and then we had our awards night, which we just heard about our senior trip, and then our rehearsal and graduation. We had the all night party, which was sponsored by the, you know, parents, and that was such a blessing to have. And it was just such a great way to encapsulate this important moment in our lives, because this is basically the biggest day of our lives so far. So it was great that we got to celebrate it in such an amazing way. And our staff and teachers have always been so helpful with our speeches, and it was a process for sure. And it's nerve-wracking to go up there, but they were very supportive and gave us a lot of guidance. At least personally, I felt very supported.
Yeah, I don't know how many hundreds of times I heard, oh, this doesn't feel real, or I can't believe we're graduating, or this moment couldn't come sooner, or oh, I just wish it would slow down, you know. But it was truly an amazing week. Our staff and our teachers, they just made it really phenomenal. Starting with the baccalaureate, like it was awesome for all the Christian students to get together and have that send off. And then the awards night really helped us feel a lot less stressed about the financial burdens we
Especially since we've already signed our offers.
Yes, and Sarai was awesome helping us with our scholarships. I don't know how many times I came in. Hey, so question about this. She's like, oh, yeah. Sleeve. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get another, yeah. But she was really good helping us with that. And then Wednesday we had our senior trip, and it was really awesome to be able to be with our peers one last time and just have a good time, you know, away from school. And then Thursday we had the senior breakfast, and it was awesome, and then rehearsal, and then Friday we had the parade, which I love that we kept that a tradition. It was so nice to be able to go through and see the members of our community, and then Friday was also graduation, and that was just awesome. And I felt like it actually went really smooth. Maybe
I was
it was
just about to
because
say,
I was
yeah.
in it, but I felt like it was a lot faster, and it was just a great experience overall. Our staff and our teachers were supportive the entire way, and yeah, just couldn't have done it without them.
And everyone was so attentive to like anything that we could need or want. And everything truly just ran so smoothly. Like we couldn't have asked for a better week. Everything was planned, everything was organized, there was no hiccups, there was no confusion. We were aware I think we were sent a schedule like at the beginning of the year, like we knew exactly when it was just perfect for family coming into town and all the plans and being able to work around that. And it just made me feel so special and really helped, you know, magnify the moment, I think. And all the transitions of all the events, like it was definitely a lot. Yeah. And I'm exhausted, but it's like that good exhaustion of like, I was able to do all those things, and what an honor to be able to be tired and have all these things to look back on and memories and
Get tired.
exactly. Everyone was just so nice. And
Yeah, we kept saying that they kept us busy so we wouldn't get too emotional and start crying.
that did not work. Let me tell you.
At the end, we all kind of fell apart, but it was really awesome, and they did a really good job making that week really special for us.
Yes.
Yes.
I wanted to catch you guys after graduation, but you guys were with your family, but because I wanted to tell you that within my job, I work with like world-class speakers with some of the largest organizations in the world, and like they like cannot compare to you. Like I was seriously, the poise that you guys showed up with and the wisdom and the confidence. I got emotional just watching you guys, and I don't think you guys realize just how talented you guys are as just speakers and bringers of truth, and like hold on to that gift, and it's really unique and special.
Thank you. Maybe we should switch our majors.
Majors were phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you.
I told Steve, I said, I feel like I should start my life over, like. No, expired. I feel like I should do something different. I know, no.
No, I'm. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Any questions? Yeah.
Catch up on sleep. At some point.
Thank you for coming tonight. This is the
Yeah,
first
of
time we've
course.
had the valedictorian and salutatorian. in front of
Ooh,
us.
we're special.
So-
Wow. Paving the way.
We got another tradition to start.
Exactly. That's what we're thinking.
Yeah, no, thank you for the school board and all the opportunities you guys presented, because I mean, without you guys, obviously this wouldn't have worked out because we wouldn't have been here, so thank you for all of that. I'm
We're excited to see
excited.
your future.
Thank
Yeah.
you,
Keep
thank
us
you.
posted.
Yes, thank you, guys.
You want a job in coaching in about 5 years? I'm back.
It's already recruiting me, so.
I love it. As he should. Okay, are we at 7.2? With Mr. Lips? Yeah.
Just as exciting, summer maintenance.
And we'll have a good maintenance project,
Right? I love a good.
just like a good spreadsheet,
Spreadsheets.
especially if got caught.
All right. So we're gonna talk a little bit about some of the projects I put on a cover sheet. I kind of listed the projects that we're looking at for this summer. So one of the first ones, well, first of all, I want to say that right now I have the most amazing maintenance team I've ever had, I think, in a long time. We have every trade covered, and most of these projects we're gonna do in-house. So we won't use contractors for a lot of this stuff. So the first project I want to talk about, we're actually partnering with technology on it, and we're doing some PA system upgrades this summer, actually starting next week. We're doing all the data and cabling installations, and technology's doing, well, they're doing all the data cabling and connections to their equipment, and that's gonna give us all kinds of new speakers and locations. We didn't have speakers before.
Yeah.
So we're hoping for full coverage. Every single school's getting some, I think. Yeah, Salina doesn't have a system at all, so it's getting a full system. Brothers doesn't really.
You gotta yell across.
Yeah, it doesn't really need them. So we're not that worried about that, but there's something going on at every single school, so. And then Pal Butte, we're gonna do a full remodel on one of their mods. So the one we did last year turned out really well. Those come in at about $35,000 versus $350,000 for a new building. So it's very much worth it to do it. And it pretty much includes everything from lighting to flooring to siding to the ramps to everything in it. And we have guys that are cross-trained. We'll do all of that in-house. The only thing I expect we probably won't do in-house is the flooring. We'll probably contract that out because it's really easy to get that accomplished that way. We're gonna actually start that next week as well. Every year we do parking lot maintenance. We don't do it at every single school every year, so we kind of rotate it. And I keep track of when we do it and try and do it about every 2 years. So we've got some of that going on this year. There's some crack sealing and striping that has to be done. And then there's like some repairs, some places like Brothers has a place where there's a huge, like just nasty asphalt place. We're gonna try and see if we can get somebody to go out there and actually just cut that piece out and put some new asphalt in that. Boiler maintenance, the middle school, one of the boilers over there has leaks in the tubes, and we have to hire a welder with a special license to come in, hydro test it, and then go ahead and weld that up and fix that. So that's on the list for this summer. HVAC maintenance, we do annual PMs on all the HVAC equipment in the district, so that'll take place over the course of the summer. And that includes all the exterior package units you see on like modulars and whatnot. So we have a guy that's been trained to do all that, and he'll take care of all that. Every 10 years, you have to rebuild like the steam pumps and the hot water pumps in those HVAC systems. So Crooked River and the high school are both getting that done. I think there was one more, but I can't remember which one it was, but I think we have 3 schools that are getting new rebuilt heating pumps or steam pumps put in. Lift stations, we have to maintain those annually. We have an issue with one at the middle school right now that could become a project that I don't have on here yet because I don't know where it's gonna go just yet. We do annual bleacher inspections, so we have somebody come through and actually do that third party. They come through, inspect all the bleachers, and that's indoors and outdoors. And then, some additional stuff that I didn't list on the cover sheet. So right now we're in the process of finalizing some contracts with a glass company that's gonna be installing security measures in some of the vestibules to actually increase the security in those vestibules, so they're much more secure than they are currently. And then the high school student store, we got the drawings back for that from the architect, and we can actually apply for a permit to remodel that student store now. So we'll start the permit process this week on that. And there could be some other projects, but that's pretty much the highlights of the summer.
Sounds busy,
It is very busy, but exciting and different.
right?
Yeah, that's a huge saving being able to in-house that.
Mhm.
Big.
Sure is. Prevailing wages. Astronomical, and I try and avoid prevailing wage every chance we can, but
The more you're gonna be able to get done, if not
Yes.
go further. Yeah.
does somebody have any questions for me?
Thank you so much for your service and
Yeah,
thoughtfulness and everything.
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
And to your team, much appreciated.
Yep.
Okay, 7.3 E-Read Play Program by Miss Amber.
This sheet's coming up, I just wanted to highlight something on this program. This actually was, Kelsey Swick was asking us, hey, what do we do for students in the summer around parks and reading? And Amber just took this
Oh,
and ran and has gotten more donations than I've seen in a long time. So, thank you, Kelsey. Thank you, Amber. And
yeah.
what is it else? I always call it, is it Eat, Pray, something like a movie? I always mix it up.
Eat, pray, love, or.
Yeah, so this is Eat, Read, Play.
Yes, yeah. So Kelsey kind of came to Joel, like you said, and got this started. And was talking with Joel, and I said, "Hey, how about like an eat, read, play?" So students will come, they will eat, read, do literacy activities, and play games, and enjoy time with their parents. And we kind of ran with that. And I guess the big goal here is to keep students engaged throughout the summer, to reduce that reading slide and the regression of reading that we always see coming into the fall. And then on top of it, to bring our birth through pre-K families, get them involved, get them with the resources from our community partners that they may need, or any type of barriers that they may have, getting them ready to go into kindergarten, and then keep strengthening our communication and our relationships with our families that are currently involved already within our school district. And to do that, the community partners are all wanting to participate. We've connected with Crook County Library. They're going to be supporting and donating books. We've connected with the early literacy hubs. They have provided us a multitude of early learning games, books, activities, parent resources to then help with our parents, activities that they can do at home to prepare their students for kindergarten or keep them going throughout the early elementary grades. We have smart bike safety coming with bike helmets to provide us with bike helmets with our students within our community. We have, of course, the fire, the police, our forest services coming. Mountain Star Nursery and FAN are connecting with us to help our families as well within our communities, coming through with our July Eat, Read, Play, and then nutrition and bringing us some stuff with Oregon State. So our other goal as well is to make sure that these students, not only in elementary school in that birth to 4-H, but that our middle schoolers and our high schoolers are supported as well. So not only are we going to bring our families in, do literacy games, but also offer tutoring in the month of July for our middle school and our high school students too. So they're going to have small groups with teachers for a little instruction if they need that extra support and help during that time. For those incentives to keep the families coming, the students participating, we have so many community members. The next one
I wanna say Pine Theater, there we go. And this is just some, they're all coming in. The Wild Rose, Pine Theater. We have Angelina's for our older kids with a bunch of coffee incentives. All of her books is coming. She's gonna donate a bunch of books and then, Men's Warehouse has brought, hats. Posey Shop, a bunch of gifts, and they're still coming in. The community is so supportive of our students and the success of our kids here. It's just been amazing to watch how this is coming together. Any questions?
I have a suggestion for the superintendent. We have these wonderful community members donating, and I'm sure their hearts are full, their wallets, they would like to be more full. Could we maybe utilize the reader board in front of Crooked River this summer and run a rolling list of our donors, since we don't use it for school events?
I love it.
And we'll just thank those folks for, everybody who gives gets a
Absolutely.
thank you, shout out.
Do that. Great idea.
Maybe run it for a month or something.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Are you gonna have any information on community resources? Like I know one of your partners is the library. And they have a great summer reading program for families.
Mhm.
Are you guys gonna have information on that kind of stuff there as well?
Yes, so the library is gonna come, they're gonna have the booth, they're gonna help provide library cards, they're gonna have information on the programs that they're doing throughout the summer. All of that stuff within that calendar. So when it's still in the process, but that calendar that's provided will give then the families, hey, if I really want to go to the library, we really need to go at this date. Or those families that are really needing some fan support, or what is fan? I've heard this is helping through my neighbor. We should really go check it out on this date right here.
The, one other aspect of this with the potential federal funding cuts, we know that a lot of our families, may have reduced services, so we're really trying to partner with creating this, filling in those gaps in innovative ways, so that although they might be losing some federal funding, that our most needy families are still supported. So really, like I said, hats off to Amber Wilson for thinking of this and pulling together these resources for families during the summertime when their kids aren't in school. So it's a real win-win.
Now, one other for you.
Absolutely.
That I just remembered.
Yes.
Are you familiar with the Waterford?
Yeah.
Group? This is weird because I think we found out about it from this office when my kids were pre-K.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure if they're still around or how they're functioning,
Okay.
but I'm getting a nod in the back that yes, they're still around.
Yeah.
It's fantastic to get kids up and running, not only for literacy and just education in general, but also the resources they provide. Like at the end of the program, they get a backpack or even a little computer that they use, because that's how they access the program.
Okay, I'll connect.
It might be worth reaching out to them as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for that suggestion.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Wait, oh, sorry, one more thing, I'm just like. Well, number one, I'm 11 out of 10 excited about this. I do. Well, I think partly because I'm a book nerd, but I just think this is like the biggest lever that we can give kiddos. You know, as far as succeeding and so I just like, Amber, you have my profound respect for how you have ran with this, and I'm always kind of pestering Joel, I'm like, what's going on? And I'm trying to like kind of stay out of it, but I always don't want to know, but so just thank you so much for and I like my rowdy boys will probably be there, so sorry about that. But I would love to just like, not like a formal report, but I would just love to hear like how it's going, like, and like what we kind of, because to me, this was kind of the missing element of that relationship with families and even that kind of qualitative feedback. So I would love to hear kind of at the end of the program, like, what are like key learnings that we're hearing from just those qualitative conversations with parents, and how can we like incorporate those in the school year? And then I would also love to hear like what do you need from us? Like, please, like, like put the responsibility back on us as a board to be supporting you and being a partner of you, because I think this is just such good work. And when we look at like our reading scores and where we really want to move, like, I think this is such a positive step in the right direction and. Not just in our scores, but also equity within our community and. The thought that kids are gonna be reading in bed this summer just brings me so much joy.
Thank you.
Amber, I'm gonna throw her under the bus. Carrie's the one that's nodding at me in the back saying, yes, it's still around. So if you need Waterford information,
Okay,
talk to her.
thank you. Perfect.
Amber. Scott, I think this goes back to what you said earlier about being outside the box and doing different things. This kind of program is what's going to set this community apart from everything else. So things like
Sure,
that.
it's just gonna grow.
Yeah.
After this year. Yeah. Okay, Dr. Hoff, you're back up with
Yeah.
8.0. So schedule the board retreat in July.
Yeah, this will be more of a collaborative discussion. Tammy reached out to the board over the last week or two. We're looking to do a board retreat in late July. It'd be after work hours, so probably at 5:30 to 8:30 time. You'll see on the cover sheet, looks like Jennifer, Kevin, and Kelsey. So it's weird. Jen, Kelsey, and Kevin, they can make any date in late July. Eric would prefer July 31st or the latest date possible in July. Looks like Mr. Cooper is July 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 28th, or 29th. So the latest date in July that appears to work for everyone would be the 29th. We'll look at calendars to make sure that works.
Scott can't say no right now. It's on there, very.
I mean, the only reason July is weird for me, that's like a busy one, but
Right.
I'll make it work. If that's the one we decided, and I'll just say, oh, fish shall be.
Okay.
July 29th, 5:30, 8:30. The fantastic Miss Tammy Parker will send you guys.
Send
calendar
it
invite.
out. Oh, that was sleepy.
Are you I said, are you available?
Steve, you're always, these are public meetings, so you're always welcome to show up.
So July 29th. Okay, well, that was the
And
easiest.
what, this is for strategic planning,
Yep.
or this is not the organizational meeting. The organizational meeting is gonna be the regular meeting in July, right?
Yes, we'll still have our regular July board meeting. This will be strategic planning, setting goals.
Thank you.
Did you say what time? Or is she gonna tell? us what time?
5:30 to 8:30 is what we're shooting for.
Thank you. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Dr. Hop, you're still up.
I'm still coming
still
back for
you.
8.2. This is actually kind of an interesting one. I had a staff member reach out and said, oh, 6-month contract review, what's this all about? And I said, oh, back in January, when Steve and I were writing my interim contract, we felt like a little bit of a different world. We'll just go through, because she said, Joel, it sounds like you're renewing your vows with the school board. That actually, that's kind of feel what it is. So, what I wanted to do is just go over what's gone well, and then kind of what some next steps are. And like we talked about with, the graduation week, I put our accomplishments, these are leadership team accomplishments of. We have, I truly believe, the best director team, some of the best principals in the state, and none of our accomplishments are based on any individual person. This total team accomplishment. So some of the things that I just wanted to point out is, I think first and foremost, collaborating with the board to restore some stability and some positivity to the school district. We were in a little bit of a dire place back in January, and I feel I've just been so impressed with how quickly this district has snapped back to kind of where we're at today, and recognizing people and celebrating our accomplishments. Like Anna mentioned earlier, we balanced a $3 million deficit for the 25-26 school year without a single staff layoff. That was huge and little to no impact to students. We have, after a while, we settled the classified contract, and we're nearing completion of that certified contract. We expect that to be done on Thursday. We've renewed meaningful relationships through joint projects and ongoing collaboration with community partners. I look at our pillars of distinction. We brought in community partners each month to celebrate reading volunteers and, potential athletic field projects, and just so many great community partners. And that's a big piece of just building bridges back with this community. We reduced complaints from 17 down to 0. I think we're back up to 2, but we cleared that queue of double-digit complaints. So that was a huge credit to HR and our staff. Board, we collaborated to update a policy backlog of 40 policies. So that was a huge accomplishment. And then finally, I love spending time with you guys, but we have reduced our need. There's a while we were doing weekly board meetings. And Tammy and I, it's a lot of prep and minutes and whatnot, and we've gotten back to a place of stability where we're able to just do our regular monthly meetings. So next steps, looking into next year, improvement areas. We're looking to again, we've got things stable, but I think our next step is how do we push forward? We don't want to stay status quo. We want to keep pushing. So launching an aligned vision and values for the 25-26 school year with staff. Continue to focus on staff culture and continuous academic improvement. We always want to increase opportunities for stakeholders to get involved with what we're doing. Like we said, building bridges with those community partners. And then also just working on, always communicate better. I think most problems happen because of miscommunication. I love hearing our valedictorian and salutatorian say, man, we knew what we were doing months ahead of time, and it made it go so smooth. So I always want to be pushing on our communication with our district. So those will be some areas, but no action needed on this. We'll just continue with the contract as normal. Any questions?
Thanks, Joel, for staying around. Of course, that's.
You do want to say this is labeled a review, not a self-reflection. So I just want to.
Good point.
The fact that I think you've done 3 great things for our district, and I appreciate them. The first one, an immediate one you did, is to bring back normal. We needed normal in this district. The second one is the incredible level of optimism and positivity that you bring to the district, which just makes everybody feel better about being here. And then thirdly, the sense of forward momentum. We're once back on track with moving the district in a positive direction. And those are, if you can just, if you're gonna do a lot more than that, but if you can just maintain that, that would be fabulous. Awesome. So thank you, Joel. You've done a really great job.
Thank you.
We should make Joel take a picture of Joel.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, yes, the time we all been waiting for. Policy updates. Here we go. Dr. Hoff.
Yeah, still going. So this next one is policy 9.1 and 9.2 kind of go together. So this is around board committees, and this is actually something that Mr. Cooper brought up as a need to review our committee policy. So as I'm turning to that page now, what it would be is a fairly substantial rewrite of VCE and then a deletion of VCF, and it's kind of combining the two. And one of the things as we review policy, I want to always emphasize what's the impact on both students and staff, because a lot of times we can do things in the boardroom that we don't realize the impact of staff and students. So this board committees, I think, Mr. Cooper, with your rewrite, the intent was to be a little more agile and really take off the shackles and let the board use committees to be impactful. So I'll let you discuss a little bit.
So in 2023, there was a challenge made to the board about its use of committees, using language, which I think the complainant misinterpreted, but said, trying to prevent the board from using any committees. And the board at that time decided to continue to function with everything has to come to the board. You all saw the backlog of work that created. One of the key committees that was under review was the policy committee. And of course, not having a policy committee means we spent how many hours as a board reviewing these policies just to get them ready to go forward. So in reviewing the policies, I read every single one of those ORS citations and OAR citations that are on there. Those are things like references to there is a public meetings law. Big surprise. there's nothing in the statute or the rules that constrain how the board moves forward with committees. So in redrafting this, I tried to take off shackles that we simply imposed on ourselves with policy, for which there is no legitimate legal basis. There may have been at one time, but it's not there anymore. And so things like, you don't need to address the board functioning as committee of the whole in your policy. That's in Robert's Rules of Order. We have Robert's Rules of Order, so you don't need to write that down in the policy. You just say that, you know, how it will work. So this would give us maximum flexibility as we go into the organizational meeting in July to organize ourselves in a way that makes sense to us, whatever that is. We don't have to have committees. If they're gonna be committees, we're gonna create them, but they're not gonna be final decision makers. They're coming back to us with recommendations for their final actions. And it also makes clear the committees absolutely need to be transparent. They need to be open to the public. They need to have advertised meetings. They need to follow public meetings law. They need to maintain minutes, all that sort of thing. So this would give us a lot of flexibility and us and future boards to organize ourselves in a way that works for students and works for students. Right now, I don't think you could create a committee under the current policies without being challenged on it.
Do we have a minimum of committee members if we form a committee?
Do so.
The reason I ask that is the language in here. Second paragraph, very last line. The committee chair or on request of 3 or more committee members. I'm not sure if we should change that to a like quorum or percentage or.
It can't be a majority, because if it's majority, then they'd have to talk amongst themselves in order to get to that consensus, and that would be the legal deliberation.
I see.
So, 3 seemed like the most minimum number in order to prevent a cabal.
3 on the committee, not.
Yeah, 3 from within the committee, on a given committee. You can make less, but.
I guess if you make it less, you just get 2 people on there saying
Right.
everything.
Right. So I don't know what the right number is. Throw a dice and decide.
One quick note as you guys are looking through the details of this, all these policies like were posted on our website for 14 days and we didn't have any public feedback. So, no. And this one is in first reading.
I really like the spirit of this. I think as we move forward, this is a really needed step to start repairing communication, and it's repairing communication with the community, but also with the staff. And I remember one of our first meetings, Scott brought up, we're looking at like hours when students could be on site, and you brought up something that what was it, like, when doors were open.
Mm-hmm.
And
With the
it's,
differences within the building.
yeah, and it's like, I don't have any insight into that. I'm not an educator, and so I've always had a sense of kind of operating blind in the sense of not fully understanding some of the times how the decisions that we make here are implicate, safety, legal, or procedure, or just making staff's lives miserable, and I think my hope with this would be that this would help us do our due diligence in a more efficient and respectful way. Because it was like, we kind of had to do triage for a while, but now it's like, okay, like, got it, and now it's time to kind of be adults and have good opposites in place.
Are you having community members on these committees also, or?
Has the potential to have community members. Right now you have 2 policies, one for community members and one for board and staff committees. I don't know why we have these. Let the board do the board's work.
Especially when you usually want a combination of that input.
Right.
This isn't from a committee, the board may appoint advisory members of staff, student body or committee. Or other experts to sit with the board members.
Every situation that calls for a committee is different. It has different dynamics, the board needs maximum flexibility to be able to do what it needs to do to respond to the situation of the moment. And not impose unnecessary restrictions. Themselves.
But also transparency. And then completely delete.
Yeah.
BCS.
Totally extraneous.
Okay, just to play devil's advocate. But. You have language in here around legal responsibility to make the final decision. Do we need any kind of language around? If the committee disagreed, final decision, or like how that, I mean, on second paragraph. Yeah, your second, the recommendations will be given careful considerations, but it's the legal responsibility to make the final decision about such matters. And so I just, again, playing devil's advocate, like if there was a significant discrepancy around a committee recommendation and board's decision.
And the board, then the committee loses.
Well, I get that, but I'm just, my question is there sufficient language enough around that? And maybe it is just final decision done, and it would just, if there's a complaint, then it'd follow the KLAR process, but the tension that always happens, like, we're all parents, right? Like, and sometimes, you know, we take input from our family, and at the end of the day, we have to make a choice, and not everybody's gonna be happy about that choice. And so, as much as I'm behind the spirit of this, and I love it, and I think there is just the reality that there will be conflict, and that's okay, but do we have guidelines on how to handle that conflict appropriately?
Within me?
Well, just like if the committee comes back and makes a recommendation and the board has a different, goes forward with a different action, like and maybe this is me being paranoid, but.
You realize that's in the deleted policy.
Oh.
Paragraph is referring to.
Okay, well, then,
Cause I was looking on the
Yeah, so
one.
that was.
Where is
that
it?
goes away.
okay, well. Questions still. Wrong.
That's why I couldn't find it. Writing that.
Okay, I'll sip on my coffee a little bit more, but.
But it still truly is, I mean, it's up to the board, if the board decides, thank you for all your efforts, but we don't wanna do that, it's, I mean, that's just. What it is.
And we do have that new language in the new policy that says that if the committee can submit its minority reports as well as its majority reports, so they have a chance to be heard if that is their desire. That doesn't mean they get the final decision, but they do have a right to record their viewpoint for perpetuity of both majority and minority, which they've not had previously.
Right, and that's healthy and good.
And of course, minutes can also be used to express and retain permanent positions.
Sure.
These specific, we've not always had minutes associated with things. And that's the change in the public meetings law that's bringing that into play. There's two examples of committees that historically have made a difference. The policy committee, when we had it, was incredibly valuable because we had probably our most left-leaning and our most right-leaning board members sitting on that committee. And when they could agree on anything, then it was ready to go forward to the rest of the board. And it eliminated a lot of process that was unnecessary at the middle because they could fight it out in committee. And also we had a common Nazi that was really worried at that point about that. That got taken care of at committee. And then the second one, I would point to the AP Advisory Committee and the Senior Experience Committee that did some really good work in sitting down and talking one-on-one with our staff, like you were talking about, Kelsey, and saying what's working, what's not working, where do you need support, what can we do? And they put together this whole plan, which was very helpful for moving the program forward. And I think we saw some of that tonight.
Yeah.
The results of that. I could trace a line from that committee's work to what students were reporting, like who we were honoring. So I love these committees when they function.
I like the spirit of it too. I just think without the committees, it's gonna feel more like we're the funnel coming into something. We have all these great programs and we're the choke point.
Yeah.
So that's what it is like.
And if you
You're
can,
gonna get a lot less done.
yeah, if you can narrow down that information through that choke point and get it through faster, make it more streamlined, then yeah, Why not?
Well,
Motion?
yes. Well, I was trying to think, like, can we do a motion on the first reading, or do we have to wait, but we have, as long as, yes. Yeah.
On here, it's got BCE and BCF listed as two separate ones, but on the policy, they're listed side by side.
It's a change. So.
It's a combination of the two.
Combination.
So you're combining BCE and BCF.
So team, I'm looking at you, we could, the motion would look like, adopt the changes to BCE while the.
Changes.
And delete BCF.
And delete, yeah, yep.
That's one, Steve, this is you.
Yep.
Madam Chairman, move to adopt changes on policy BCE and the proposed deletion of BCF.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Give it to Eric.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion to adopt BCE with the proposed changes that BCF included and delete policy BCF in its entirety. And we have a second. Do we have further discussion? Okay, let's vote. Kelsey?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And yes as well. Thank you all. Thank you for your hard work on that.
Yes, thank you, Scott.
Appreciate that.
Standards anymore.
Got one more for you, Jen, 8.2. Right?
Okay.
Or sorry, 9.3.
Yes, we're at 9.3.
Where are we? What did-
Yes. we can-
So, EFAA-AR, this is the policy that's all about school meals and some procedures. And this is a quick one minor change. If you go to the third page, so it says 5-7 on the bottom, you'll see some blue writing. And what that says is, it's number 3 on the bottom of, page 5-7. Lunch will be served between the hours of 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's a long-standing tradition here in Perth County School District. One issue that we ran into this year is I want to say it was 4th period at the middle school. They
It
actually
is.
had to cut the class in 2, so kids would show up to lunch for 20 minutes and then leave for lunch for 30 minutes and then go back to class for 20 minutes. That is not ideal for learning, as you can imagine.
Marcus.
So, we're adding that blue language, which just is to maintain instructional integrity. Course periods will not be split or disrupted by lunch scheduling classes, will not be interrupted or divided due to lunch periods. So that language is in there.
And that's the only change.
That is the only change to this, and talking about impact to staff and students, I think the impact to students will be positive in terms of increasing instructional time, cohesiveness. Impact on staff, this will take a little bit away, a little bit of flexibility around lunch scheduling, but I've checked with Mr. Hayes, he says we totally want to make this work, so.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah,
is-
so staff have given it the stamp of approval.
And they can get it worked out with plenty of time.
Exactly.
Okay. That's the only change.
That is the only change to this.
When do we have a hard line of lunch has to be served?
Oh, you don't want to open a board
Oh,
discussion on that.
Because we, at one point, serving lunch to kids at 2:30
Oh.
Yeah.
and as early as 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I was gonna
It was
say,
ridiculous.
it was really
You
early.
get a lot of parent complaints of, my kid goes till 2 o'clock and hasn't had lunch, so, the board wanted to make sure there was some guardrails around that.
Okay. Do we have a motion or are we gonna move on?
Move to adopt policy EFAA-AR as amended. Second.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt EFAA-AR as amended, and we have a second. Do we have further discussion? Okay, let's vote. Kelsey?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And yes as well. Thank you, Ms. Ham. Okay, let the fun begin. Huh? Miss Melinda. Hello. Hello. Haven't seen you forever. It's been a while. It has been a while. 9.4 PL-8R.
Yeah. Before I get started, I just wanted to congratulate you and the entire district on a strong and really positive finish to a year that started out interesting. So good job. It's lovely to work with you guys. So we have KLAR, and I think it's been since April, that we looked at this one again, the public complaint procedure and form. Some changes have been made after I received the board's feedback at the April meeting, and then I also met with Scott because Scott had some really good ideas. And so the version that you have in your board packet reflects kind of the input from both of those meetings. And so I'll go through. The first section is just complaints. That first section is just refers complainants to different policies for different types of complaints. And we added, because of recent legislation that gives the Oregon Government Ethics Committee or Commission jurisdiction to hear complaints about compliance with public meetings law. So we added that as number 9, just so that people can know that that's, if they have a concern about your compliance with public meetings laws, they can take their complaint to the Oregon Government's Ethics Commission. So that's the only change on the first page. And so moving on to the second page, after consulting, I guess at the top, we changed the language where it talks about all communications. It had shall be polite and respectful, and just to soften the language a little bit, change that to should, and I can't remember where that.
If you don't have any enforcement.
Yeah.
Sense.
So on step 2 with the formal complaint, that goes to the employee's immediate supervisor. And so we have kind of gone back and forth on the timelines on these different steps here. After consulting with Scott and thinking this through, we thought 15 school days would be the most appropriate choice. It's more than what we've got now, but 30 days is also pretty long. And so that has been changed all the way through, both under step 2, and then it carries down under to step 3 as well. So there is that change. I think it came from the board meeting in April. I added language that said the supervisor who is handling this step 2 shall provide the complainant with reasonably frequent updates on the status of the complaint under the step, including whether the supervisor will require additional time to render a decision. Just goes along with the spirit of, increasing communication between the district and the complainant. So because it often happens that these complaints need more time than even the 15 days. If we have a complex situation, or if it's like a Title IX complaint and there's law enforcement involved, then we may need to pause our own enforcement activities or investigative activities. So it's just that communication piece. And that is reflected in the blue language where it says the timelines described herein shall be paused if an agency and that should be investigative, not investigator, investigative and or enforcement authority requests the district to pause its investigative proceedings, which does sometimes happen when law enforcement gets involved, or DHS. So there's that. Again, the changes, the first paragraph under step 3 are for the timelines landed on 15 school days. And the school days is key because, sometimes we will get a complaint on the last day of school in June. And if we had 15 days and we've got staff that's off, not on contract anymore, there's not much we can do to gather them for investigative interviews as necessary. So the school days is pretty important. So if you recall on that next paragraph, starting with a complainant is unsatisfied, this is that paragraph that the superintendent, this is under the appeal to the superintendent, but the superintendent can offer alternative dispute resolution to the parties based on some criteria, but it's with the discretion of the superintendent. There's some minor changes to the language, which we've already reviewed before. And so there's the line that says the superintendent may invite other interested parties. We've changed that to persons, because parties kind of has a specific meaning in a lot of people's minds, but sometimes there's other people involved in the complaint. And then if such a process, meaning alternative dispute resolution, mostly mediation, it will only proceed if all parties to the complaint agree in writing to participate. And so an email would suffice.
So the email.
Yeah. Next paragraph, talks about the logistics of the dispute resolution process, and we just added, in terms of the confidentiality at the end of that paragraph, just added, to the extent permitted by law, mediation sessions will be confidential, but the parties shall have no expectation of confidentiality in any other dispute resolution process. That reflects the state of the law with mediation, and most mediators insist upon this, even if it was a type of mediation that wasn't covered by the law, that what's said in mediation, it should be confidential, because to not make it confidential creates barriers to settlement and resolution. People don't, it's chill, it has a chilling conversational effect. And so that's just saying that, you know, to the extent permitted by law, this will be confidential. All right, next page. And this was at Scott's suggestion. We had talked about whether or not a mediation, if it reaches resolution, whether there should be a written agreement or formal agreement. And at Scott's suggestion, we added language that said the mediator or facilitator occupies a position of trust and confidentiality, and therefore will work with the parties to determine whether any formal written agreement resolving the complaint is necessary. So it's kind of up to the mediation process as to what the end result will be, and it gives some flexibility on that. Minor change in that next paragraph to take out the or. And the other thing, I think, Scott, you might want to speak to this. Go ahead.
This one's pretty important, because under the normal circumstances, you would assume the superintendent is in charge of the personnel and should be managing the personnel, and their decision would be sufficient. I mean, they're only reviewing multiple steps before, right? But you think back to where we were about this time in December, and some questions about personnel decisions that were being made by the superintendent, that under this policy, without this language in it, could have just proceeded under the authority of the superintendent with no opportunity for the board to weigh in. So what we propose is a safety break, is that when a decision gets made by the superintendent, the board gets notified of that final decision. It doesn't have to be a big notification, but it's a notification. And if a majority of us say, we want to pull this up and take a second look, it can proceed to appeal to the board. But that opportunity is because the board has seen it and the board is concerned about the validity of the decision making, rather than the complainant is concerned. Because the complainant is never going to be happy until they get whatever they want. So this is the safety valve, but hopefully it would only be used. There's got to be some kind of safety valve.
You have to have.
So this would mandate that the superintendent would have to tell us right when they get to a formal complaint.
Yeah, once they resolve, then they would notify us.
Okay. Any questions so far before I keep going? Okay, so the next section is complaints about the superintendent or school board members, and that used to be titled step 4. Now we changed the heading to reflect that it's not an automatic step 4. It's pertains to certain types of complaints, or who the complaint is about, superintendent or a board member. It's just a different type of a situation or context. And so I think that language in the blue font is language that you've already considered in a previous iteration of this. We did take out that last, the yellow highlighted language with the red font, and is struck out. We just move that down to the next paragraph. It's just mostly the same language, but it just didn't seem to fit right there. And so we put it down into the next paragraph where it's kind of the logistics about the board notifying the complainant about whether it's going to take on further consideration, and if so, the process and or format that it's going to use to do so. And so there's that language that it reserves the right to offer the parties mediation if it was not already attempted under step 3. And so you can think of a situation in which the superintendent might think this is not appropriate to refer the parties to mediation or alternative dispute, but it comes up to the board because it's a complaint about the superintendent or school board member, and maybe you guys think it's a good one to refer to mediation, so it gives you guys that option. But if the complainant refuses mediation under this step, then the board shall accept the superintendent's step 3 decision as its own final decision. And the final decision is important because that's sort of the trigger by which a complainant can then pursue a complaint to the Oregon Department of Education. They don't take every type of complaint, but that kind of is not our business. It's like once, once it clears you guys, then they can choose to try and see if they get, see if ODE takes it. And then we added in that the board may seek clarification from the complainant if it is unclear as to the exact nature of the allegations presented. That stems from some complaints over the last couple of years that were kind of, it's like a ball of twine where it just kept unraveling and it was just became this big, and some of the allegations were unclear, and so we sort of went down some rabbit holes, not really being clear about that. And should the board decide to proceed with a hearing, the notice to the parties to the complaint, change that from complainant, because they're, you know, if it's a complaint about the superintendent's entitled to know, should know and should be notified that, you know, there's a complaint, and what the process is going to be to resolve that. Next page at the top. Again, this gives the board the maximum flexibility. So you can take the complaint, you can rely on the superintendent's decision as long as it's not a complaint about the superintendent or the board. But the board's decision not to undertake further consideration or to refer the parties to mediation or alternative dispute resolution shall be considered a final decision, what I was just talking about, that triggers the complainant's right to pursue it to ODE. The next paragraph is about if you guys decide to undertake further consideration, what you do next after you make some decisions. And so it says that to the extent allowed by state and federal confidentiality laws, the parties to the complaint shall be informed in writing or in electronic form of the board's decision within, and we put 90 days there. I think that can be lessened a bit if you are so inclined, and that's calendar, not school days, because the board continues its work during the summer. Just, you know, so you should be able to clear the, you know, but you can, we had 30 days and I'm a little bit agnostic about which timeline you choose for that. During that time, whatever period of time you ultimately select, added language that the board shall keep the complainant reasonably updated during this period of time. I didn't want to put in like a specific frequency of updates, because the minute you put that in policy and then somebody fails to do that, then that gives rise to another complaint. And so I think reasonably updated just cues you to, you know, the board chair to say, hey, we need to be communicating with the complainant where things are at if it's starting to take a little bit of time. In the event that the board needs more than 90 calendar days to reach a decision, it will contact the complainant and provide an estimated amount of additional time needed. So I view this as a decision point for you guys. I mean, all of this is your decision clearly, but this is one that might, you know, you guys might have some conversation about. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to have that conversation right now, or would you prefer me to keep going?
I say keep going, but whatever
Yeah.
the board decides.
I'd argue to keep the 90 only because as I read this paragraph, maybe I'm misreading it, but this is from the inception of the complaint to the minute the board.
Right, because we're not doing step 1, 2,
Easily
3.
get 90 days.
Yeah, and that's, and 90 days is significant under the law because there's an OAR that talks about complaints. It gives you maximum flexibility. It's been changed in the last couple of years, but the overall timeline is 90 days before a complainant can go to ODE. And so I think that's the reasoning, but thanks for reminding me of the reasons on that. But 90 days is, this is a isolated process, one step here. Where it used to be that we'd have 30 days at step 1, 30 days at step 2, or step 2, 3, and 4, sorry, to take the total of the 90 days. But now this is just its own step.
I mean, I think it's important that we expedite this wherever possible because people are being tortured mentally the whole time a complaint is outstanding. And we should move on for their sake.
Yeah.
And their mental health, but you have to take whatever time it takes.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And again, if it's like a Title IX complaint, like sexual harassment or something like that, and we have law enforcement that's involved or DHS, on a reasonably frequent basis, they will ask us to stand down and pause our own investigation because they're doing theirs and they don't want to, sets of interviews with the same parties and getting conflicting information. It's just it's a complex situation. you know, and sometimes TSPC will investigate and they don't get anything done anytime in a reasonable manner. You're looking at a year or two. So we just need some maximum flexibility there.
And that person that's being complained about, if it's a serious complaint, is on administrative leave.
Often, yeah.
Paid administrative leave, and you've got an unproductive asset while you try and finish this up. So you got every incentive to get this stuff done.
Yeah, so you're paying for a sub and paying for. So the next paragraph is really the changes are about if the complaint comes in and it's a complaint about both the board chair and the vice chair, which we have seen this year, puts the board in a difficult position because oftentimes the board members that are being complained against want to recuse themselves, leaving three people that aren't officers. And so the previous language said that the board, if it's against the board chair, then the board vice chair will refer it to the rest of the board. But if the complaint is against both the board chair and the vice chair, the remaining board members will appoint a pro tem chair to preside over the complaint, rather than having the board chair just do it unilaterally, which is what happened this last time. And I think it worked fine, but I do think that's a better solution, to have the remaining three pick somebody.
Be able to choose your own judge.
Yeah. Well, and it's just to preside, so it's not really decision making, but it's, you know, yeah, exactly. All right, down towards the bottom, the blue language is really designed for efficiency because we've seen complaints where there's multiple parties that are asserting the same or similar type of complaints against the district. And so this gives the board the right to consolidate those complaints and using the procedures above. Doesn't happen often, but it's happened in this district in the last couple of years. So I think that's a good plan. So the last page, you've seen this language, similar language, in a prior version. It says the board will not hear complaints about policies adopted or other legislative or budgetary, and that's new to this language, decisions of the board. And so Scott suggested some language that's in the yellow that community, and it's basically informing community members that, you know, we're not going to hear complaints about policy, legislative, or budgetary decisions of the board, but let's tell them where else they can lodge their concerns and provide their input. And so this just says that the community members concerned about policy, budgetary, or legislative decisions may utilize other methods of objecting, including but not limited to providing public comment at your board meetings, directly contacting board members by telephone or email, or serving on a related board committee open to community members, which is in line with your policy that you guys just approved on committees. So that just points out the options and the ways, because I know there's been some community input that has objected to, you know, this. So that kind of softens that a little bit.
No, and without that language, then what we're doing here tonight, the budget we just adopted, you could walk in next week or next month and file a complaint that says, you know, I don't like the fact that you took money out of the PERS reserve. I want you to reconsider that. And we'd be forced to go through the whole process of considering it. You could come in with these policies. I don't like your public complaint process. I want you to start over again.
Yeah.
We don't have to hear the same thing twice when there's been an opportunity for the public to have input in the process, which we have provided in the case of this stuff.
I will say, this is probably the one that we've discussed the most, at least since I've been here. And I did have issue with that paragraph originally, because I was trying to think of ways, how would people complain about policy? But this doesn't stop you from complaining about specific instances where you may have a conflict with the policy. And I think that's the spirit that we're trying to get at.
Yeah.
So I do like the change.
Yeah, the implementation of policy or a violation of policy is ripe for a complaint. That's,
Process is.
yeah.
But once the policy is made, that's a different process.
Yeah. And that's why you have first readings and second readings, and in this case, third readings, and you've got public comment and we've had, you know, members of the public they're not shy here about giving their viewpoint. And you also have community input now on the website too. I didn't mention that in the language, but that's another thing that you guys are doing to listen to the community on your policies. last page on the back. So we revised this form. Scott and I worked a little bit on this language on the nature of the complaint. And so that language is, please be very specific and identify what district policies or administrative regulations you believe are relevant to each allegation in your complaint. District policies and ARs can be found on the district's website under the school board tab. You may attach additional sheets as necessary, but this form must be filled out in its entirety. So what people got in the habit of doing was just kind of, putting one or two words, see attached or whatever, and then having these really long narratives, which they can still do, but we need them to fill out this form for documentation purposes, and also forcing them to identify the policies that they think are relevant to their complaint. Now, the question is, and I think that this needs further discussion, or I need further guidance from you on whether to take out the suggested resolution or solution or outcome. And I have heard feedback that why are we inviting people to suggest a remedy? Because if they're ticked off at a staff member, they're going to say fire them, and that's not necessary. So it might lead to the implication that that's possible, and it may not be. And then I've heard that some of the board members want this on there. And so I'm going to leave that to your discussion and seek your guidance on that.
I thought we were on the same page that we took this out.
I wasn't here for that discussion, so I don't know what the rationale was. But
Well, I think at the time, we were looking at this one and we were also looking at curriculum complaints. And so we were looking at, well, what's your suggestion for curriculum? And I think that just kind of wormed its way into this.
Yeah.
Whereas this is about personnel, not material. So
I see.
we just bump it out, I think.
I do too. I mean, again, we've never had a complaint come in that the results they were asking for, that's not even reasonable. That we're never gonna get to that, what you're asking for. We have policies and internal things that will take care of what you're talking about. And if it is termination, then that's what it is, but we have steps to go through to get there. You're asking them, what do you want? Hang them down.
Yeah.
But there's a flip side to that, and I certainly don't want to hold up the adoption of this policy over any disagreement on this, but I will point out, sometimes people don't want as much as you think they do. You can assume that their answer is fire that person, all they want is a simple apology for some wrong that they believe was done. So if you don't give them an opportunity to state what they want, you have the risk that you may go overboard in reacting to what they're asking for when something simple could have solved it at an earlier level.
But isn't that the whole point of the policies to provide dialogue around understanding that quicker?
Well, it certainly is about providing dialogue, and I would say that question right there, by giving that person the power to suggest the solution, orients them toward a solution toward a complaint, simply by including the question. If you don't have that on there, then all you've got is their recitation of what was done wrong and what the proof is of what happened. You don't redirect them toward something more positive, like how would you like to fix this? Not how would you like to, what are the artifacts of evidence for condemning this person that you're complaining about?
Thinking of ideal, yeah, like I agree with you in spirit, that would be the hope. I just don't think that's gonna accomplish it by having this on the docket. So I respectfully disagree with you on that.
I do too understand, but it always, that was the one spot on all those complaints where it got.
Usually says fire them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I saw one of, I'd like to sit down with them.
I never saw one like that.
But of the ones that I saw, I never saw one that had a softer approach.
Yeah, I'd really say if it's something that small, usually you're not seeing it past the step one. So the teachers and the informal resolution are handling all those ones where they will take some positive resolution that they would normally put
But if
on
we're
there.
taking, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
If we're taking a bigger look at everything and how we're doing it, making people sit down and talk before it ever gets to this. You shouldn't have to count that. I mean, it's if you're doing the whole program of how you're dealing with them.
I'll add my input and it's not, clearly not my decision and I'm not sure it actually makes much of a difference anyway, because if they're gonna say hang them, we're gonna ignore it generally anyway, because it's not an appropriate remedy to their complaint. But you know, you guys make your decisions with the benefit of knowing district policy and having thoughtful deliberation among 5 of you, unless one of you has, 2 of you have to recuse yourselves, and with legal advice, when it's needed, and oftentimes the complainants aren't thoughtful about that, like they have no idea kind of what's, you know, what restrictions the school district has in disciplining a staff member. They don't have any idea that there's a collective bargaining agreement that requires just cause now for classified staff as well as, and probationary staff, to be quite honest now, as well as certified staff. And so it seems like what the appropriate response or remedy is within your purview. And so I don't know that this changes. We can keep it on, but in my view, it just sort of gets,
It muddies the water.
it almost gets it, I mean, it's almost ignored in the equation, in the processing of a complaint, just because they're asking to be hung, but that's obviously not an appropriate remedy. And so we kind of bypass that.
Well, I guess that was back to my point of that. If you're not gonna do what I asked, why are you even asking? Kind of thing. That's where my mind is. I want them fired and you didn't fire him.
I would also
So
say,
it's even more, now I'm more mad because you didn't do what I asked.
I'd also say most of the time, if they're going to want to suggest a resolution, they're gonna do it in the complaint itself.
That's what I was gonna say, in their narrative or whatever they attach, and, you know, so I don't know, you guys can keep it in there or not, it's entirely up to you. Just trying to think back over the last 17 complaints. And the complaints from the prior year, you know, how often,
Fired employee.
yeah,
You could easily just put in your nature of the complaint, you could say, you may attach additional sheets, potential resolutions, and you could add it in there. That way you're covering both areas.
Yeah, you could throw that up there, in the nature part, that'd be fine.
okay, does that sound good to all of you?
Great.
And then the last one is at the bottom, and this is kind of more of an operational thing, but we had talked with HR and about our complaint process and a way to kind of document it so that things are consolidated. That there's like a Google Drive, I think, or Google folder, I think we now have, that everything that has to do with the complaint at each step is deposited in there. So it's, you know, because we did have a complaint where it just got completely unwieldy. Where is everything? What's, you know, relevant? What's not? The emails going back and forth. In fact, we had a number of those. And so down at the bottom for office use, I just put disposition of complaint at each step. And so it's probably more of a admin thing, but it'd be nice to have some location or form that documents exactly what happened, so we can recreate what happened if it ever comes up. So I don't know if that's something that you guys think would work. I didn't have a chance to check with you, but I threw that in there for consideration. This is more of a district complaint form though, so it's more administrative, I think.
Credit to Jay Weeks, who's really organized our processes over the last.
Yes.
I did notice one, when you added, well,
Where you at?
on page 4/6, when you wrote shall be informed in writing or in electronic form, back up to 2/6. In the blue,
I'm just waiting for him,
it says,
right?
oh no. Let's see here.
Yeah, that's where
1, 2,
Chelsea asked,
3.
it meant
Yeah,
email as well.
yeah, which she had asked about email, but do we need to put in there, it'll only proceed if all parties complain agree in writing or in electronic form to participate. That way it stays consistent.
Is that the only place, did you say, or was there?
That's only the top place.
So, okay, so just if,
Well, if we're gonna go with writing and.
or
you
elect,
know, it needs to be also on 3/6 at that very first, or that very last paragraph. Where it says the board shall notify the complainant in writing in a timely manner. So do we need to put also where writing it says email? Or electronic form?
Yeah, it's easy to put that in there. I don't think it's technically necessary. I think email counts as writing generally. I mean, I think,
I'm good with what
so it's
considered the same.
maybe for clarity's sake, in case somebody wants to pick apart the language like that and say, you didn't send me a certified letter. That we've had.
This policy's come a long way, though.
Yeah, no, you guys have done a lot of good work and suggestions on ways to conceptualize this, and I think Joel and Scott both can kind of suggested like mediation. I think you were the original, so I'm gonna give you kudos for the first, like, hey, what if we did this? And then I think Scott separately mentioned it, and I think it's, or was it Steve? Yeah, I think it was Steve. That's right. Sorry, I'm not giving you the right credit there, but anyway, this has come a long way, and I will tell you that this is innovative within our region. In fact, I think it's innovative within our state. And so I wouldn't be surprised if other local districts follow suit, because you're not the only one. You guys get the craziest complaints by far, but well, no, that's not even true, because Ben Lapine's had a couple doozies. But good, I mean, this is really good work.
We're overachievers here.
Yes, you are, clearly.
Yeah, that's why we have an hour celebration to be in strong meeting.
So what's our goal, Madam Chairman? Is it to bring this back for another read, or do I wordsmith it tonight, or what do you want me to do?
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, we kind of wordsmithed it along the way, right? We gave our input
Can we approve it with that change?
We approve it as amended?
as amended.
I mean, that would be really exciting.
It can. I
With-
particularly like to get it approved with Steve still.
Agreed.
Not that I'm worried about having, but I don't want him to
Uh,
start again.
But it'd be nice to start then, yeah. So the changes would be a typo and for investigator to investigative in writing or in electronic form.
Different spots.
And
Can I make a minor suggestion as well?
yeah,
Your titles are step 1 written out, step 2 written out, step 3, but then there are places where you have step 3 with the numeral. So you may just want to make sure that, just to instruct Tammy to change all those to match the headers.
Yep.
okay.
And did we agree that we are going to leave the suggested read out? I'll leave it off and then put potential resolutions up at the top under.
In the yellow language, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Did I miss anything? I think so. Somebody is.
And on at the each step, I think you could include in your motion to allow me to work with admin about how they want that language to reflect their internal processes of documenting this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so Madam Chair, I move to adopt policy KLAR with the referenced amendments to be incorporated by council and staff.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to adopt KLAR with the referenced amendments to council and staff. And a second. Do we have further discussion? Okay, we're gonna vote. Kelsey?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for everybody who's worked on this.
Good job, you guys. All right.
Yes, thank you for all of that.
Compulsory attendance?
I think she would love to. Yes. Okay. 9.5, JEA compulsory attendance. Miss Bree.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. All right, so JEA, this one, as I thought about the impact to staff and to students in, drafting some of this language, I was really wanting to provide clear communication that is user-friendly for both our administrators, teachers, and students, and then reduce some redundancies in the language in this one. It seemed like there were some things that were just a bit repetitive. You guys had talked previously about the 5-year-old's paragraph, so I was able to kind of chunk that into just 2 sentences in the top paragraph. And then like down below, you know, it says like children providing the board satisfaction, but then the second line is that have received a high school diploma, which I felt like those seem very similar. So that's where the nature of a lot of these suggestions come from. And I'm happy to answer any questions or concerns you might have.
I'm doing it now. Did you check that citation in there about 4S saying failure to supervise a child as a class A violation? Is that still true?
That one's 63,577.
You know, because that was left in the OSBA language, I thought anything around citations, I'd love to leave. So that is why that's there, but I can't recall if I double checked it or not. It's been a while.
Now it says may violation.
Yes.
A guardian who is not supervising their child by requiring school attendance may also be in violation of Oregon Unified Statute.
Mhm.
Failing to supervise a child is a class A violation.
Which is what it says, right?
Well, actually, we're changing the word failing to failure,
Well,
which I get what we're doing, but actually the statute is more ungrammatical.
So we could leave it as is.
would you like to leave this?
Well, I don't know why it adds anything. It has nothing to do with us. But.
Are we leaving it as failure or failing?
According to the statute, it's failing, not, the failing statute is failing.
Failing to supervise a child is a class B violation, failure to supervise a child.
I would almost want to take the class A out. Is what that.
That's where I'm at, Eric, is what, yeah, how does that add anything to the policy?
You're gonna say is a violation of what? If you're gonna take the class A out.
No, I take the whole line, the
Oh, the whole paragraph.
failure to supervise.
It does-
I don't mind the parent who is supervising is in violation of something, but the next part where it classifies what kind of offense that is. Whatever. I don't even care if you take the whole thing out.
That's where I'm at, is take the whole thing up, because that's the responsibility of the DA, not the district.
Unless they're using that later on to.
There's a point of reference of.
Yeah. Well,
The legislature, we had left that nice paragraph in there and took away every tool we have to enforce it.
Mhm.
And it changes, I mean, I love the
Ridiculous.
softer language of may, because this seems to change frequently. Whether we're citing people or not, I think over the
Yeah.
last 10 years has been off and on at least 5 times, so.
Yes.
That may language gives staff the flexibility to be responsive to wherever the legislature or
Mhm.
or courts are, so.
Why don't we just take out everything after the citation?
Okay.
So all it says is a parent is not supervising their child by requiring school attendance may also be in violation of Oregon Revised Statute.
Yeah.
Got
it.
The rest of it?
Then we don't have to pick between failing and failure.
Even better.
Conversation you love to have.
Grammar versus virtual, the actual.
Okay. Yes.
That change at work.
So it was just basically remembering of them. Lisa went down. This is a 3rd grade one. What do I do? We approve with them.
And here I move to adopt policy JEA, striking the language of failure to supervise a child. Class A.
One second.
Okay. We have a motion to adopt JEA with striking the language of failure to supervise a child as a class A violation. And a second, do we have further discussion? All right, let's go ahead and vote. Kelsey?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And Jennifer, yes, please. Nice job, Bree. That was it's very nice.
We'll take a deep breath for the next one, because this one's got a lot of blue language in it.
Yes, Nina.
And the reason being, when I sat down to, I appreciated that the last board meeting, you guys were like, make this what administrators and students need. So I thought really deeply about our processes with our district attendance team and what that attendance supervisor at each school really does, and then what it means for the student. And so that's where a lot of the changes in this policy come from, is again, providing clear, concise language, but also unpacking what is it that we do. And what we do mostly is address chronic absenteeism through frequent notifications, a lettering system, and mandatory meetings. So that's what this new policy language hopes to achieve. I will admit that there are 3 grammatical errors in it, and I apologize deeply for that. I caught them today when I was preparing. I apologize.
I really like the work you've done, Bree. Like,
Yeah.
I can look at it as somebody who's not an educator, you're like, okay, I understand.
Understand it. Mhm.
Nice
And
job.
the other thing I'd like to point to is in the first paragraph, I noted that in the parent or guardian's home language, and then also a citation may be issued with all the language. And then I added or relevant county ordinances. So that way, if the county decides to whatever the courts decide for Kirk County, we can still apply that language with the understanding that applies throughout.
Confess your grammar errors.
Yes, please.
So we can Mend them.
Yes, please.
Where are they?
You want to-
Oh, you want me to? Okay, I thought you had found them. With the blue text is hard.
Take this to 10.
It's probably taking a lot more time.
Okay, so the quotations on truant, the first one needs to be reversed. And then on 3B, where it cites this language that we have about the parent's right to request an evaluation for an IEP or a 504, that goes on every single one of our letters, so and it's missing a quotation at the end. And then lastly, on 4E, it says discussion. It should just be, the attendance supervisor will discuss the potential of consequences for continued non-compliance.
What?
I have that too.
That's
fine.
4E.
So, Madam Chairman, I move to adopt JEAAR, fixing the identified typos. Nope.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt JEA-AR with fixing the identified typos and a second. Do we have further discussion?
Just appreciation. That was much nicer.
Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you all.
Thank you, Dr.
Wait, we have to vote.
Not yet.
Kelsey, Scott, Steve,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
and yes as well. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
She's all smart, super doctor of education, right?
She said not yet.
Not yet.
Gotta,
Got some time left.
the dissertation is almost written.
Dissertation in progress.
I feel like I wanted to give her a high five on my way out.
Dissertation.
You should definitely.
What'd you say?
Dissertation.
Attendance. Attendance systems, trying to.
Working with difficult coworkers.
A lot of
She already has a feed.
First person live story.
Miss Carrie, welcome to the table.
I'm back.
We ready? We're on a roll.
We are on a roll and I feel like that's
your
not
night.
good for me.
It's your night.
I feel like I've been through here before. Okay, so We are on IIA and IIAR, which we've spent quite a few times kind of going over. Well, actually not IIA. How the community school boards has given us a few suggestions, and then OSBA also, obviously it's all in blue. They kind of rewrote the policy. Not a lot of real structural changes, well, structural changes, not a lot of content changes, just in how they did it. So what Dr. Hoff and I decided to do is take some of the community school board recommendations and the OSBA recommendations and combine the two. So you'll see on IIA on page 3, the third page, that there are quite a few that are the blue highlighted now, and those are the language right from the community school boards. And they really go into more specifics about when we select curriculum or when we select resources, kind of the lenses that we will look at to select those. So those weren't in the original policy. There were quite a few things in the community school board's recommendation that we didn't feel like were necessary and or appropriate to put in that policy. So tried to take the ones out that were real great and really applied to what we want kids and students to have access to.
One thing, as you guys are looking through the updated version on page 3-5 of this policy, Steve and I have been talking for months on how do we implement community values and showing both sides of an issue and making sure that it's reflective of our community, because we know that Prineville is not Portland when it comes to adopting curriculum. And community school boards offered this language that teases out, not going into specific, but talking about that whole idea of objectivity, not indoctrination, and making sure that our language in our policy, we're choosing resources and curriculum that match what we believe our community will accept. So I thought that page 3-5 from community school boards does a good job of making sure we're having that objectivity when it comes to adopting resources.
And I also think that the questions that the board has asked me over the last 2 years about adopting curriculum are kind of addressed in making sure that that's in policy, specifically the support continuity, alignment and sequential growth across educational levels. I can't tell you that I've been in front of you with a curriculum adoption that a question hasn't been asked that said, how does this build off the level before it? Or how is this going to support what comes after it? Or are these curriculums going to align well so that kids moving from middle school to high school or elementary school to middle school also, you know, have success with this resource or this curriculum. So I did appreciate that they said that as a priority, that they suggested that was a priority as well.
What's the point of the last paragraph?
It was, that came right out of that community school board's recommendation. I am not sure what the point is of
It
that.
doesn't really.
It's not a criteria thing, but other than
It's a statement, and it has this language in
Okay.
here about, you know, it commits this board to adopt the alignment with state standards. And I'll be very honest with you, until the state went nuts and started adopting certain standards that I just find offensive, you know, I would have been okay with that, but I'm not gonna, you know, sign off on state standards that I haven't seen yet. So I would just assume, I don't think it would hurt anything to take it out. There's, all this stuff is referenced above,
Absolutely.
and I don't think I think it restricts us unnecessarily. I generally will follow standards unless they're insane.
And
Lately, they have been.
That might be good feedback for us to give community school boards, as this is their preferred language, and I think they'd be aligned in.
This whole paragraph?
Yes.
Yeah, they get with their trade.
Just remind them of
Yeah.
what they did.
I know, I think it's just
Point it out.
Yeah.
reassuring
Yeah.
paragraph. Of things.
I think Scott, to answer your question, I think it was this, seems like a concluding spirit of, here we go, but
Summary of what you-
yeah, I don't think there's a lot of substance, and if the board wanted to get rid of that, I think that'd be appropriate.
Everybody be okay with that?
Yep.
Yeah, you can see in the recommendation that they gave us all together, that there is a lot of in the spirit of this policy, there's a lot of that language throughout that I didn't use other than kept in that last little paragraph.
I think this is, we talked about, it's just a hard thing to write criteria for, but I think this is probably the best I've seen at defining something that's very dynamic.
Yeah.
You know? Are there any known typos?
I think as you could tell that we have gone over the known typos, and I think it was an I and an I on that first page. Yes, so
Madam Chairman, I move to adopt IIA, removing the final paragraph from the draft.
perfect.
Okay. We have a motion to adopt IIA with the removal of the final paragraph, and we have a second. We have further discussion. Okay, let's vote. Kelsey?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And yes, as well.
Is a hallelujah appropriate? Anybody?
Wow.
Anybody?
All of your hard work.
One more to do it.
I was gonna say one more to do. That's okay. I can hallelujah one and
Whenever she wants.
can have a moment. Okay, IIAR, actually, in this draft, we just brought both back together, but I don't think that let's see. Fine, right, looking for highlighted blue, and I want to say that there was really limited highlighted blue in this one. One of the ones specifically that I remember on this one is actually on page 7-15. The board asked me to kind of put a little preemptive statement in there as we're going through the reconsideration request form in front of the questions about that, like, hey, if you're gonna bring something to us that you want us or a committee to reconsider, we want you to understand that we want a dialogue about what it is that you are upset with, what are you opposed to, what you want to do instead, to try to, again, continue solving these at the lowest level possible.
Good. On the top of 315. Minor little error, they duplicate word, who.
Oh, yeah, we did. Tammy, we even talked about that, I think.
Sorry.
No, it wasn't you. It was probably me. I probably talked about it in passing and never got it to you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, the first who belongs, the second who does not.
Such fun.
He was just trying to promote inclusive.
First, the second.
And then the other piece on 815 was a clarification on the bottom if they wanted to provide additional oral or written testimony to the review committee. If yes, please call the principal's office and the facilitator of the reconsideration committee will reach out to you with more information. Before it was just like, who's responsible to reaching back out to this person about their additional testimony or information.
Do we need to put the word "and" in there?
And comma in.
Oh, sorry. Yes, comma and.
Coordinating conjunctions and all that.
It is 45. Really, coordinate your conjunctions.
Madam Chair, he once spotted an apostrophe error when
I'm
he was
sure he
in
did.
France at, I think, 3 AM.
Sure he did.
This is nothing.
Did I write? Yeah.
prom.
He remembers where he was with the apostrophe.
I remember falling asleep during that.
We weren't gonna say anything. You should
Since you
know.
brought it up.
Yeah.
After.
All right, Jen, what do we think?
Madam Chair, I move to approve IIA-AR as
Last meeting, last item, motion by Steve. I second concluding action.
I'll send you a copy of the video, okay?
Can you send it to both of us? Cause I am actually having a moment too.
More than I did.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table to adopt IIA-AR as amended and a second. Do we have further discussion? All right, let's vote. Kelsey,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Steve.
yes.
Eric,
Yes.
and yes, as well.
Hallelujah, a second time.
There you go.
Okay.
Is it done?
Now you can do your hallelujahs.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I do want to show you appreciation over the last 2 years or however long you've served. I've appreciated coming up here and the way that you've guided and supported those of you who are sitting at the table. So I will miss you in this role, but I will be happy to see moving on into my.
Thank you for all of your work on those.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Thank you, guys.
My son. Yeah, all right. Fast reads, we ready? 10.0 upcoming dates. Last day of school, K through 11 is half day, June 12th. End of year staff celebration, June 13th. School board meeting, July 14th, 6:30 at the district office. Moving on to public comments. If you wish to make a public comment, please complete a comment card prior to the start of public comments. If you're viewing online, please indicate you would like to speak in the comment section. When you are recognized, please state your name and any group you're representing. Keep your comments to no more than 4 minutes. A bell will chime with 30 seconds remaining and another bell will chime when the 4 minutes have ended. Group of visitors with common purpose should designate a spokesman for the group. If you wish to request that the board consider an agenda item, please contact the superintendent at least 1 week prior to the next board meeting. Per policy BDDH, the board will not hear comments regarding any individual district staff member. If you have a complaint about a specific staff member, please contact the superintendent or the board chair. And at this time, this meeting is adjourned. That's right, that was for you. Because you're always done.
Get it?